Hello.
Hello.
Hello, we're back.
We're back.
Hi, we're back. We just went live, so we'll wait on some of our friends to show up in the chat.
Yeah, we'll do kind of a, pre-show, if you will.
Oh, a pre-show. Yeah, we don't have like I can't steal Adam Cole's gimmick of shirt of the day. But I am wearing.
I have a shirt of the week.
I'm
always doing shirt of the day. It's just various wrestling shirts always.
Yeah, and I promise I do own another hoodie that is not just a Skinny Omega hoodie I wear every single time we stream, but it is the one that I always like find, and I'm like, I'm gonna put you on. You're comfortable. Anyway, we're here.
I hung up your Chicago AEW hoodie.
Yeah, that's the one I had on earlier before I had to go outside and
I have
almost die because of the traffic.
I have my brand new Young Bucks tie-dye shirt that is a little bit too small because I do think obviously the quality on Pro Wrestling Tees varies. But I think they pre-shrink their t-shirts also.
They claim to.
It's variable, right? Like, because sometimes you get them and you're like, yeah, this is obviously a little smaller than it usually is. And then sometimes you get them and you're like, wow, this is swampy. And then you wash it and you wash it and then it's like 2 sizes smaller. So
yeah.
Sorry, PW2. I do regularly use your services, so I feel like talking shit is only acceptable.
It's true. Michelle bought a lot from PWT
so much.
Week.
It's true.
We're not going to get into it so much.
I don't feel like we have to be sorry necessarily because they're definitely one of those companies that acts like they're a small startup, but then they have like
resources,
a lot of business.
They're doing so well, they had to shutter their retail store to make it a bigger warehouse.
Yeah. So I don't think we need to apologize. I think they're doing just fine.
With or without our business.
There's some other like smaller, scrappier t-shirt companies that do other business, although they're like really obnoxious because somebody replied to Johnny's like, hey, I opened my Pro Wrestling Tees back up, which is like pretty much the universal sign now for
I'm not going back to WWE.
Right,
yeah,
exactly. And people are like, why didn't you open this other t-shirt or why didn't you open a store at another t-shirt place that all these indie wrestlers are using that has higher quality merch? Because I won't buy from Pro Wrestling Tees, or like, so I can buy a shirt. And I'm like, you can still buy a shirt. You're just like, you have some weird
grudge against
not
PWT.
Weird grudge, but like, you are making an active choice not to purchase from this company because you dislike their product. You cannot then say, do this so I can do something. It's like that is at least
Twitter in a nutshell.
Yeah. Especially like very sanctimonious, like left-leaning Twitter.
Okay. I'm gonna tweet this on my other thing.
I compared the Young Bucks to some characters from the Adventure Zone because I was like, hey, if you like these characters, because I was trying to like get people that were like tabletop adjacent that had listened to the first arc of the Adventure Zone. Like, hey, if you like Taco, like you might like the Young Bucks because like they're in a lot of
some similar sensibilities.
Right. And I had people like jump on me when Charlie and I were spending a nice weekend together because they were like, actually, the Young Bucks voted for Trump. And I'm like, what?
That's not even true. I love the entire thing is like, and that's when Mikey learned for the very first time how many people dislike the Young Bucks for either reasons that they have made up or reasons.
Listen, all of you people who think the Young Bucks voted for Trump, I get it. I do. I look at them. Yes, I get it. But come on, grow up.
Yeah, it's simply not true. Listen, thank you for joining us today. We are back and better than ever, I guess. I don't know. We definitely have some opinions. So, if you're new here, thank you for showing up. My name is Charlie. I run this little thing we do. I just so much as put some stuff together. I glue some things together and push the go button. And that's just kind of like what I do. That's really about it. We'll introduce ourselves.
I'm Mikey. I use he, him pronouns. I gave Charlie the button to press.
Yes.
I handle the streaming side and video side of things, and I use that term handle lightly. But yeah, I do a lot of things on the internet.
As the internet want to do for you.
I post lots of pictures of my cats.
That's true.
He does.
Professional cat streamer.
Mm-hmm. Well, not today because they're not allowed in the room.
No, they're out of the room. They're banned from the room. In fact, they're banned from the living room even.
Wow.
I had to put aluminum foil on the top of the baby gate around the Christmas tree.
So we've not only put a baby gate around the Christmas tree.
Charlie's like, it'll keep him out. He can't leap 3 feet.
That did not. It lasted for about 3 days, and then he decided he wanted to jump up on the gate, and then he could have easier access to the tree. Yeah, so that didn't work. So now there's tin foil on the top of the baby gate, and now they're in the room because he's also decided, instead of just not being able to go in the tree and bothering it when we're in there, he's now just decided he'll just bother it whenever he wants. So it's been It's been an escalation.
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then sorry, Vishal, we stole your thunder.
Oh,
talking
I'm
about
Vishal.
cats.
I show up where I'm needed and disappear as soon as I'm not.
That's Vishal. Haven's in the chat. Hi, Haven. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you.
Hello.
Anyway, I feel like a lot happened, but a lot also didn't happen this week.
I feel like we have less to talk about than usual, and I think that's also in part because we're not even watching NXT anymore.
Yeah, I think so. But I think also Mikey brought up a good point. Like months ago, not even months ago, like the time that NXT moved from Wednesday to Tuesday, and I said, let's just watch wrestling all week. And then it was like, and that was also when Kenny was still showing up on Impact. And and Mikey was like, in retrospect, that was a poor idea.
Well, because it's like we had a long, hard look at a lot of things in our personal lives that I won't go into here, but we realized that for a period of time, rather than, doing the human thing of spending time with our friends, we were watching wrestling almost every day of the week, and that's just like fundamentally unsustainable. Even if that's your special interest, like you need time to not do that. Oh, our good friend Papa.
Hi, Papa.
In
my
the
caller
chat.
my caller number 7. Yes,
Caller
you can...
number 2, which is arguably even better.
Yeah. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, but you did not win the grand prize.
Damn.
I don't know what that was.
Try again. But yeah, it's fundamentally unsustainable. Especially when you have, a product that is what the WWE is right now. Like, there were photographs, like, just to talk about it very briefly, there were photographs that came out of Raw that showed the attendance, and they put aprons over entire sections, like black aprons, to make it look not as empty as it was, so that they wouldn't show up on camera. It was rough.
People
y'all.
ain't buying tickets.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, and why would you?
I bought tickets once, and it was to their good show. Even it was to SmackDown at Madison Square Garden. It was a miserable experience. I wouldn't recommend to anyone.
Oh wow! I don't know if we actually even discussed like the experience you had, but it was like not.
Yeah.
So
It-
okay,
Go
ahead.
I went to this week's AEW Dynamite and Rampage taping for Winter is Coming, and I've been to a handful of AEW shows, and I've been to one WWE show that was theoretically bigger than most of the AEW shows I went to. In comparison, when we're in commercial break, and like between matches or whatever, like a match ends and they're like, after commercials, we have this next segment or match coming up. AEW will usually have, Justin Roberts come out and work the crowd a little bit. Or if like a wrestler walked into the ring for an entrance, he'll work the crowd a little bit. WWE just shows us ads for WWE products.
Jesus.
Like they advertise that we have a special pre-sale code for WWE Day One, the pay-per-view, if we want to buy tickets to that.
Mhm.
And they try to get us to buy merch, and like not merch we can get at the venue, like order merch online afterwards. And it's a bizarre experience. And on top of that, when actually no, AEW kind of has this problem too, which I'll get into later, but when matches are in commercial break, they don't wrestle. Sometimes they do, sometimes, but it's usually either rest holds, or in the case of the Usos and the Street Profits, they just hug their partners until the commercial breaks over and then get back to wrestling. It was delightful, and I paid money for it, is how I feel about it.
Yeah, and a lot of mixed feelings. So, Vishal, would you say that the worst AEW show you've been to is still better than the SmackDown you went to?
Yes.
Okay. Just confirming that for future for the
also
future.
for your own edification.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
I mean,
well, my edification for the fact that we paid for tickets to Extreme Rules, and I have never been more glad that we decided just not to go.
Yeah,
Extreme Rules might have been better even because it was, a pay-per-view. Like I'm going to the Rumble this year. I am hoping it's not a miserable experience. At the very least, I can
It's the
count down
Rumble.
from
Yeah.
I can count down from 10 a lot of times and get really excited and then disappointed a lot of times.
we should have not bought tickets.
No.
Just full. But
I did ask you several times.
Well, I was like, what's the harm? So you were like, I want to buy tickets now, or I'm worried there might not be any good tickets left. And
That was a lie. That was the biggest lie anyone ever could have said.
That was the thing. I think we didn't realize, because not only were tickets really selling, they were not selling to the point where there were still tickets left, so we couldn't sell our tickets. Like through resales, through StubHub.
WWE tickets don't go on resale. Even like I bought my tickets to the Madison Square Garden show like less than a month out, and they were very good, like on the floor tickets.
See, I've only ever had experiences with buying AEW pay-per-view tickets, which is
and then,
like
big concert
even AEW
tickets.
like Dynamite tickets go pretty quick.
yeah, like so most of the time, like an AEW like All Out was kind of like a rat race. If I had not had a pre-sale code, I probably wouldn't have gotten tickets. But I did, and AEW is very good at this usually. Today was not that day for AEW Revolution. Let's talk about, for 1 second, my terrible experience purchasing tickets for Revolution. So there are 3 events. There is Rampage on Friday, the Fan Fest on Saturday, and Revolution on Sunday. They sell all individual tickets and then 1 queue for the combo ticket, which I would assume guarantees you the same seat you purchased for one. For like one, it's the same seat. I would assume. So I'm in the queue, and I know how to do this right now. I actually got weirdly like obsessed with how all this stuff works during the summer. Like, so when I bought tickets to All Out, and then when I bought tickets to the Grand Slam show, which I'm like, oh man, I'm really good at this. I'm not good at most things, but I feel like I'm good at this. So I got really good tickets for, I actually gave them to Vishal because I was like, I don't know if Vishal's going to wake up in time to get these tickets.
I did get tickets. They were nowhere near as good as Charlie.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm good at this. Let me just get you these tickets. So I'm in the queue. So usually like you're in the queue for like, it tells you to be there 10 minutes beforehand. But in my experience, the longer you have, like the longer you're in on that page, even if it's before the 10 minutes too, like it just gets you a better queue spot. So
as soon as people start lining up.
Yeah. So I had opened the page when I woke up this morning at like 8 a.m. And I was on there and I was watching the clock tick down. And then when it gets to 10 minutes to, it tells you, oh, hey, we're putting you in the queue. Like we're putting you in the line. And then it's like, okay, when it becomes 10 and the line opens, it puts you into a virtual queue and tells you how many people are ahead of you. Most of the time it's been like 1,000 people are ahead of you. But even that like counts down really, really quick. I've never like sat in the queue for a really long time.
What number in the queue were you?
This morning I was 200 in line. I was 200 in line. And then it flicked from 200 to 69. So I was 69 nice in the line. And then it took me to the page. And then it has you put the pre-sale code in. Fine. I get to the page. Every time I've ever purchased tickets, there is a seating map. And it's like, oh, here's all the available sections in blue. And you click on your ticket. And you're like,
usually like there's a best available
yeah,
button.
here's where you are. And it puts the little map on there so you can tell where you're purchasing tickets. There was no seating map. There was nothing. There was a static image of the AEW logo, and I'm like, "What?" So I had to, guess based off of the best available filter in the corner and the most expensive. I filtered by, and I'm already like freaking out because I'm like, I don't know how long this is gonna last, and I don't know how long I'm gonna be here. So I'm already like kind of anxious about it. So I like I put the filter on, and I'm like, most expensive tickets, like best available, so I can just like have some idea. Then it shows me all the floor options, and I'm just like, fuck it, 6 of these here. I don't know where this is. So I just picked because we're going with a group. So I just like picked the tickets and I purchased them. And I'm like, okay, that was fucked up. And then I leave. And then
like you purchased
I purchased the tickets, and then like I go to purchase like some of the other tickets I needed to. And then they put the seating map up, and then I get word that the combo tickets were also overlapping with the individual tickets. So they took both queues offline because they weren't right. And then some people had gotten floor tickets for the meager price of $85 instead of the actual price that they were supposed to be.
Normally supposed to be like $200 or more.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So this is all fucked up. So I managed to get tickets. I managed to get like what I would call pretty good tickets, not like ideal tickets. Like obviously my ideal ticket would be like on the floor, like close to the railing on either side of the ring. We are on the ramp. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look tomorrow.
So and only about like half of the tickets
got sold. Like they're like apparently almost nobody actually was able to buy tickets because everything was so messed up. So if you did get tickets, you were lucky because after about a half an hour, both queues were offline, and then it gave you the countdown for the actual general ticket sales for tomorrow.
Well, and so there are half the sections that you couldn't even get tickets for today, which I think is smart. Like only giving pre-sale certain sections to choose from.
Yeah. You don't want to totally F over the...
Yeah, which is kind of what happened at All Out.
That is exactly what happened
All
at All
Out. Like, basically was sold out during pre-sale. There were, like, no tickets that you could buy through General.
Hi, Carol.
Hello, Carol.
Thank you for
Carol, sorry. Hi, Cinco de Kylo.
Yeah,
Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Kyle. Hi, Carol. Thank you for being in the chat. Yeah, so this ticket buying experience is miserable this morning. I'm hoping to see what's available tomorrow morning. We'll do a little swap if we must.
Yeah, and that's like probably the worst, because I think the next worst or most harrowing ticket buying experience was trying to buy tickets for the MCR reunion tour.
Yeah. God.
It ended up not happening because of COVID. Yeah. But our friends, like, we coordinated with our good friends Casey and their wife Emily to get MCR tickets, and that was also like just a rat race. Like, if you got tickets, you were lucky. But yeah, so from my understanding, like, if you bought tickets for Revolution, like, someone could have snatched that same ticket out from under you for Rampage. So then you would have like because they're both at the same venue. So you could just end up like on the floor for Revolution and then in the nosebleeds for Rampage or something.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's wild.
A rough one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's all on Ticketmaster, so Tony Khan's feud with
Oh, yeah.
Ticketmaster
Speaking
continues.
of that, the Winter is Coming tickets were not on Ticketmaster. They were on the Curtis Culwell Center's own proprietary
Oh my
website.
god.
The Wolves. That's we're going to the show in Cleveland, and they are also not on Ticketmaster. They
Yeah.
are on the Wolstein Center's.
Well,
Ticketmaster's
box
bad,
office.
but it's better than these proprietary websites.
yeah,
is all I'll
well,
say.
Yes.
and the problem with like Wolstein Center is it's a small university, so they're using like their proprietary solution that they do like orchestra tickets through normally. So.
like I mentioned to y'all, this place is used for high school graduations, and by that I mean it is literally down the street from a high school. I parked at the high school.
Jeez,
Yeah, like
that's wild.
I am kind of two minds about the fact that like AEW says they're going to be in a city, but they're actually like in the suburb of the city and in like a venue that's not like surrounded by a whole lot, which I actually enjoy because I enjoyed my time so much more at All Out because it was a very simple drive, a simple park, and a simple drive back instead of having to like be in downtown Chicago and like worry about all of that.
Or like be at
Oh yeah, the parking for this was so much better than for Grand Slam, which was an actual nightmare.
yeah.
Parking
Like,
in New York is the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, but think about it though. Like, if this is like a small venue, because AEW still is booking like pretty small venues, like not the like premier sports complex in the area. Like, if this is like kind of dicey sometimes, like sometimes it's very nice and sometimes it's very not. Like, think of like the kind of venues that like ROH was booking at, or like
I'd rather not.
I'm actually kind of glad I didn't go to, for multiple reasons, I'm glad I didn't go to the GCW stuff in Chicago while I was there. But especially because Sean Ross Sapp has been slowly releasing interviews from that, and the one he did with Danhausen like there was a child playing soccer in the background, and it legit, like, this is no shade on GCW, it's just like this is how venues are sometimes for athletic things. The like stuff in the background literally looked like insulation that you would get asbestos from, like just hanging free. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, no, Caro, yeah, we talked about that briefly. I hadn't heard that people had got floor seats for as cheap as $30.
Yeah, we had heard like $85, but $30 floor seats is rough.
See, here's the problem. If I had actually managed to purchase floor seats for $30, I would have anxiety from now until I got there.
Yeah, I would just assume they revoked the tickets. Yeah.
Honestly, I'm kind of surprised that they don't just like do that and call a renege and say, hey, like, we screwed up, you just have to do it.
We're refunding all tickets.
Try again tomorrow.
This time it won't be terrible.
Yeah, but I don't know. We'll see.
They could send me an email that says your tickets have been redistributed and you've been refunded, and I guess that would be okay.
I mean, you're planning to.
I'm gonna look tomorrow. I saved a bunch of money to go to Revolution, so I'm just like, let's just spin the wheel one more time and see what we get. No, there's really no harm in it. I'm not a scalper. I'm not buying like 12 tickets and then like reselling them. Yeah, give people their money back in this economy, Papa says.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I know we brought up briefly, like, we'll get more into the wrestling stuff. So we were talking about WWE for a while, for those who are just joining us, like in previous
I
episodes.
was comparing the I was comparing the experiences of going to WWE and going to an AEW show. They're very different. WWE is like objectively worse, at least for TV showings. I don't know about pay-per-views. I have not been to a pay-per-view for either.
Yeah. So Charlie and I bought tickets to Extreme Rules. Our first mistake was buying them early, because Charlie gets like really bad anxiety, or like, bad is a relative sense, but they have a lot of anxiety if they're not like early to something, or like,
Sure,
like super, super prepared. And they're like, it's like a month out. I'm worried there aren't going to be any good tickets if I don't buy them now. So they kind of made an ultimatum to me, and they're like, if you want tickets, we need to buy them this week or there weren't going to be any good tickets left. And I'm like, okay. So we bought like fairly expensive tickets because WWE pay-per-view tickets are not cheap.
No.
Especially not when you're on Hardcamp's side. So,
And especially not when
up.
you get them a month in advance. They get very cheap right before.
Right, which is what we learned. So we bought them, and that's the funny thing is my friend who still watches a lot of WWE product because his sister is really into a lot of the female wrestlers, bought them like 2 weeks earlier even than us, because they wanted to make sure that they got a good seat. So, and Alexa Bliss was going to be there as far as anyone knew, and this is like, she's Ohio native, like from right outside of Columbus. So we did that, and then they weren't announcing the card. So like up until like a week, like it was less than a week in advance, and we still didn't know what the card was. And I'm like, Charlie, I don't know what the card is. I don't know if I'm even gonna enjoy it. Like, we watched Crown Jewel just because it was on Peacock. We didn't really talk about it here at length because that's the line that we'll draw in the sand. But it was like pretty good. But I'm like, if this was pretty good, like, I don't think Extreme Rules is gonna be like half as good as that was. And so we just, like, there was only one match we were really interested in, which was the, like, at least for me, that was the Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair, when they did eventually announce this card. And then there was like the one match with Extreme Rules.
That was last year. The horror show at Extreme Rules was last year, Haven. This year was just I get very sad at Extreme Rules.
I mean, it was kind of a horror show, but in a different way.
Yes.
Is that like, so I mean, the Finn and Roman match, like, you always knew how that was going to end, unfortunately, like in terms of outcome, like not in terms of what actually. I don't know if I would have been able to
I think
process
that might be the only time that's ever happened.
Yeah. I can't imagine being there live for the Finn thing. Also for the run-in with Bianca. That would have been a lot, because that was at Extreme Rules, right? When Becky returned?
No, that was at SummerSlam.
Oh, SummerSlam. Yeah, I'm mixing it up. It all just melds together. But yeah, like, so we didn't go, and then because the tickets weren't selling, we couldn't sell them back or like make up any of that money by like reselling them. So we learned our lesson, and because I can't even imagine like paying money to go to your rando like Raw or SmackDown. Like,
yeah, no, they keep advertising me via email that there is a Monday Night Raw coming to the Nationwide Arena. And I said, no, thank you.
Yeah, I don't even know what's going to be on that show. Why would I pay money for it?
Right. So that leads me back to when I was talking about Raw and them covering seats with the aprons. And there's I don't usually go on Squared Circle because it's usually really bad.
Charles addicted to Square Circle.
There was a very funny post that someone made in response to that. And they're like, hey, maybe if they release the cards ahead of time, like, people might actually buy tickets. And then someone responded, directions unclear, released entire roster instead. And I'm just like, I mean, that is the state of things.
Pawpaw says, imagine buying tickets for a non-televised house show. And my response is, apparently that's the only time their content is good.
Yeah, because they're trying to make people happy, like that and dark matches, which I don't understand the concept of, like, WWE. It's not like they're taping multiple shows at once, so I don't know why they would have
dark matches at WWE are for the crowds. It is like another incentive. Like when I went, the dark matches were Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte, which is obviously going to be big, and then John Cena and the Mysterios versus the Bloodline, which that's John Cena in New York. Come on.
It's like to heat up the crowd and then like to send you home happy.
Yeah, it's because they don't want the crowd leaving at the end of the TV show, because almost every single TV episode ends on a big downer note. So they want the crowd to stay in their seats for the dark match at the end of the show and get excited.
Because every episode ends in a way that you don't like. So here, I guess we'll give this to you. It's like giving your kid ice cream after, like,
which is
after
such, like,
he does something
it's such
bad.
like a psychologically manipulative way of booking your programming. Like, can we just talk about that for a second?
I mean, I don't think it's intentional, though. I think they're just idiots.
Yeah,
I think this is just very clearly they are flying by the seat of their pants at every opportunity.
I mean, absolutely, that is true. But also, whether they intend it to be manipulative or not, that doesn't stop it from being manipulative.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have to think like, oh, we'll book good dark matches because we know we don't book good normal matches. Like,
I should
what
note the dark
doing?
matches aren't even like especially well wrestled. They're not bad, but like they're, average. It's just they bring in stars because they know people will want to see.
Yeah, you want to
That's
see insert name here.
But do I like
I left during the John Cena match because I weighed whether or not it was worth staying for another 30 minutes and dealing with traffic or just leaving.
Especially in New York City, like
Papa says, "What if your TV show entertained the crowd?" Vince, call me.
I mean, they don't need to entertain the crowd. They're paying the crowd to come, apparently, based on this week's. There was like apparently a whole line for people who were hired as crowd fillers.
Wow.
For the hard cam because the hard cam didn't fill up.
Wow.
Oh no.
So we've gone from I'm going to inject crowd noise and dub over the crowd to put over my guy to we're gonna
pay people to show up.
Yeah, we're gonna pay people. Like, why need an audience?
I can just pay people.
Just pay people to come, and then your people will be over. And like, this is not, again, I don't mean to like harp on anyone that likes WWE. Like, if that's your ride or die, or like, you have sentimental attachment to it, I totally understand. It's just like,
yeah, like all of this being said, I'm going to the Royal Rumble, although I do think the Rumble is like always separate from everything else they do.
It's
nearly impossible. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's nearly impossible to have a bad
For
Rumble.
Charlotte might as well be out of continuity.
It's a Big Four pay-per-view, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well,
and even Survivor Series was asked though, so Big Four doesn't really matter.
Survivor Series is always the worst of all the Big Four
SummerSlam
pay-per-views.
was also really bad this year.
Truth. Especially when it was in the middle of the month when AEW was just so hot.
Really rough time for them.
But we have literally done the math. While Charlie had WWE Network, because we were watching stuff for podcasts and research and whatnot. Before also the WWE turned into a total trash fire in terms of content, because it's always been a trash fire in terms of business. We would just literally roll a die and watch random Royal Rumbles. And even in like when we ended up in like 1989 and we had no idea what was going on and everyone was just like doing fucking slams and walking around the ring, it was still amusing. Especially because then I think like Rob came in and he's like, okay, this guy is this thing and he is like wrestling this guy and here's the feud. Because it like at that point it's just all a bunch of like rippling buff bodybuilder white men. Yeah. Because that's what the WWF at that time was.
WWF. I like the way you just turned it.
I almost forgot. But yeah, like even that ended up being, it was baffling, but it was amusing because like, it gave us the opportunity.
It turns out getting 30 wrestlers into a ring together is generally going to be a fun time.
Yeah, like it's always, like I said, it might as well be out of continuity at this point, except for when I did rage quit the Royal Rumble 2020 at least 4 times.
But then it was good after that.
And then it was good. No, Kara in the chat says that they went to Extreme Rules in 2019, and I guess it was cool seeing Taker, but like it's totally for a casual audience, which isn't a bad thing. It's just not for me. Yeah. Which like you can just tell what the product is.
For a casual audience. They actively like piss on anyone who who pays attention to like 3 months ago.
Yeah.
The longest booking they will ever do is Royal Rumble to WrestleMania.
Yeah, and it's
the road to WrestleMania.
It's so weird because like I know Will Nevin, who's and with us sometimes pointed out very justly that, you know, WWE does do the kind of soap opera drama stuff better than than
Yes.
some other promotions. But what's weird is, I guess it's like people who want that like veneer of drama or like the short-term drama and the action, because my dad's been watching Young and the Restless since like the 70s, and he can tell you the entire storyline of the Newmans. And like, even though stuff has been like retconned and soft retconned, like it's still, there's still like a through line all the way through, and like they're building plot threads that happened like 2 years ago. So, I mean, I guess maybe not all soaps are like that, but
No, they're pretty much all like that.
yeah,
Like, you can call on the history anytime you want. It's just that it, like, that's why it's so deflate. That's why you keep seeing a renaissance of people who leave, and then they enter into this like what would be a golden era of their career, because you just forget, like, A, maybe how good somebody was, but B, like how much more things matter when you can rely on like past character beats or past things from the character's past. Like,
yeah, WWE is almost like a talent normalization. It's like everything is going to be very consistent.
WWE structures everything like it's the first issue of a comic book.
yeah, there you go.
It's a mess out here.
It's always Spider-Man #1.
And
Yes.
like, you know, if you just want to turn something on and have it in the background or just kind of watch and not really think about it, like if you just want to watch to have
No,
something-
man, that stopped working for me. Remember, I said let's turn on Survivor Series.
No, I know, but I'm saying like clearly there's an audience. You know, people are still watching, but that audience is not.
I will remember probably for a long time that person who replied earnestly to somebody's tweet about, hey, why do you still watch WWE? And so it's like, I don't know. I know the product's bad, but I've been watching for so long. I feel like I can't stop. And I'm like,
Yeah.
do you have mother effing Stockholm syndrome up at this B? Because that's what it sounds like.
Yes, that's.
I mean, it's also like, you know, people that keep reading Spider-Man, like.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go out on a hot take and say that Spider-Man's still a bad comic. Even if the bad writer left, it's still bad.
Okay.
This is a wrestling show, but I need to say that.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
Get
right.
the hot
But
takes out.
That's the thing, right? Like Spider-Man is like, you keep reading Spider-Man because it's still Spider-Man, but it's also not really like, he isn't Peter Parker that is like struggling, and like he's transformed so much, and the character is like fundamentally not what his roots were, but like I know that there's so many people
No.
that just keep reading it.
Spoiler alert, Mikey. Peter Parker isn't Spider-Man right now.
Well, you know, who is the titular
Ben Reilly, his clone from from the 1980s, who then came back in the 1990s and has just kind of been bouncing around for the last.
from like
The Clone
World
Saga.
2 or whatever.
No, the Clone Saga.
Clone
He's
Saga.
a literal
Oh,
clone.
okay.
He was the angry man, angry boy.
So he's not.
No, the
he's-
angry boy was Kane. Ben is
Okay.
just kind of a weirdo.
So
Okay,
he's not
okay.
from the universe that Spider Girl was from.
No, he's from our universe. Just some guy got Spider-Man's DNA and was like,
Okay.
another one.
Okay.
The Clone Saga never ended. Right.
And then was like,
process.
actually, we don't know which one of you's the original Spider-Man. Ooh.
that Ben Reilly, not the Ben Reilly from Spider Girl, where One More Day never happened.
No, not that one.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway,
Sorry, that was Deep Comics.
this is not comics chat. This is wrestling chat.
There's a lot more overlap than people would think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Kara said, I used to have that mentality towards WWE where I couldn't stop watching it. Then the Elite entered the chat. Well, and it's also like, I feel like, at least for me, and maybe this is not the case for everyone, maybe some people have gone the opposite. Okay. I feel like the pandemic, broadly speaking, put you in either one of two camps. You're reevaluating like those kind of perpetual motion things that kind of stop working, and you're like, why am I still doing this? Like, I am absolutely miserable, and you have a long, hard look at yourself in the face. Or you just keep doing them because they're like comfort objects in that way, and like you cling to those even tighter and get more emotional about them. And I think that kind of dichotomy, like obviously I'm flattening it a bit, but I do think that kind of dichotomy does speak to why the WWE stans that have like Roman Reigns and Sasha Banks and Liv Morgan in their avatars are so defensive
I have
of the
less
product.
venom towards the Liv Morgan avatar people.
No,
I have
like-
sympathy for y'all.
That's
Yeah,
Liv
fair.
Morgan
That's
avatar people, if you're here, you're not like the Roman Reigns and Sasha Banks people.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking
Straw
like,
line in the sand.
yeah, okay. Liv Morgan, people that are out there like doing the Liv Morgan RP, live your best life.
Live your best life.
Please, honestly.
You do it. Thumbs up.
But the people that still have the Fiend avatars,
You guys keep on keeping on.
well, I won't give that to the Fiend people because some of them are, away. But the people that
Live your
have-
best lives also.
Yeah.
Yeah, the people that have like the Roman Reigns avatars especially, it seems like it's like well, if I admit this thing is bad, then like
What have I been doing with my life?
Well, and I have to admit everything is bad. So as long as WWE is good and I say it's good, then things aren't really as bad as they might seem.
Yeah.
So, like it becomes a last stand of sorts, and it's
Gonna piggyback off this to say, I was trawling Squared Circle as I do because I make poor decisions. But on the thread about Kevin Owens has re-signed with WWE, there was a very, I think it's extremely funny in hindsight. There was a period where he was teasing things about leaving WWE and going to AEW, and it is very clear that he used what is an obviously desperate WWE who has lost almost all of the stars that people know are going to be big when they hop over to AEW to get a big money paycheck and a big money contract, which has been reported like it is a big money contract, and stay at the company that gives him financial security for now. But I saw a comment that was basically saying like what Sami Zayn does on SmackDown is inarguably the best thing he's ever done in his life because it has the most ratings on TV and therefore it makes the most money. And the only way to properly judge whether wrestling is good is whether or not it makes more money than other wrestling. And that's how you can tell.
Okay.
I'm glad this person out there has an economics degree on Squared Circle.
So let's pivot into the shows we don't watch anymore.
Yeah, well, one second.
Is there anything to talk about? Bobby Lashley is going to be on the day one pay-per-view now in a fatal four-way for the WWE Championship.
Yeah. Also, the thing with Kevin Owens is like even if he gets cut or like released, he's got money. So it's like
you get cut, you got money.
He has guaranteed himself at least 3 months of a contract that gives him millions of dollars.
Yeah, and
that's pretty good.
on you.
Yeah, and also like you get cut, you still have another. You can go. Like
it's kind of a win-win.
It's a win-win. So like
point.
go live your best life, Kev.
Yeah.
I would have very much wished to see you, but like I believe some wheels are turning without you anyway.
Yeah,
that's okay. That's all right. That's all right.
Johnny Gargano is like he's doing like the most doublethink right now. So he opened his pro wrestling tees. He did maybe one of the worst Twitch streams in history. Please, dear God, if there's any wrestlers listening, and
please
who am I kidding? Like there are,
Chugs, please go tell your friend Jonathan Gargano to get some mods in his channel.
Oh no,
mods up
he
in
even
this
said,
place.
"Oh yeah, we got to do something about mods here."
Oh my Lord! Just don't stream if you don't have a mod. I don't care
I think he just did not know a single thing other than my friends are on Twitch.
Yeah, probably not. Just like have Candace sitting in another room. Like, I don't know, man. Anything.
It's important to note that
should have streamed Tecmo Bowl at noon so Ciampa could buy.
He should have streamed Tecmo Bowl at noon. I would have watched.
Here's the thing about my parasocial friend Chugs, aka Adam Cole. he like has a line in his stream like where it's okay to talk about wrestling, but what the stream is about is video games. Like, it's okay to bring stuff up and talk about it, but he's fostered a community that knows him as the Chugs, and they know and enjoy Adam Cole as the wrestler, but that they come to the stream not to bother Adam about everything imaginable regarding wrestling, but to just enjoy his company. Like, and that was like the biggest thing, like when I just tuned into Johnny's stream and I saw everyone asking about everything under the sun, I'm like, oh no, it's this kind of place.
Yeah, I think it's not going to be that pretty soon.
Yeah.
I am 100% certain it was entirely like, get it out of your system, ask me all the stupid shit you want.
Yeah.
And then the rest of this channel is going to be like unboxing videos and here's a tour of my nerd room.
Yeah.
Although I did like the comment that I saw, I don't even remember where it was at this point, that was like, yeah, all these people coming to Johnny Gargano's stream for all the hot takes just find out that he watches Nicktoons before
Johnny
he goes to bed.
says that himself on stream.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what he wasn't like really talking about anything that Dirt Sheets would pick up. He was just like having a good time and said he wanted to wrestle Lee Moriarty.
And Kenny Omega.
Well, yeah, but everyone wants to wrestle Kenny Omega.
But yeah, no, so Johnny, I appreciate you. Do a little bit better at the stream. I think he'll get there. I subscribe to his channel. Like, here's the thing. I'm so used to like streamers and how they interact with people that I'm like, oh man, I subscribed to Johnny's channel and it popped up on the channel. Like, I hope I'll get a shout out, because that's what streamers do. They give you a shout out when you subscribe or resubscribe or do anything, and Johnny just kept on going.
Well, and the good thing about like Adam Cole, what he does is like, if he is in like the portion of his stream where he's reading like bit notifications and resub stuff, he'll read stuff. And then if it's a smaller stream where it's just like largely his regulars, he'll try to actually read what happens in chat. But if people start asking him obnoxious questions, he just won't do it, because he's there. He's like vibes only, basically. And I think that is a good strategy for anyone to have in the live streaming sphere.
Yeah, no, Caro is right. Chugs will make you feel so loved and welcomed in his streams.
Charlie said he would make a really good kindergarten teacher.
Yeah,
today
he would, because he's like, it's
he
Mike.
hasn't gotten to stream all week for a week because he's been so busy. So he's like, what was it?
He was like, oh, it's Michael's birthday. Everybody say happy birthday to Michael in the chat. Happy birthday, Michael. And I just kept thinking about
like his like OGs, his regulars. He remembers their names. He remembers what's going, like their family relationships.
Yeah.
He remembers their birthdays. He remembers the things that they like and big events that they've had. Like, and someone was like, dropped like 50 sub gifts, which is like 50 times $5. So price that out for yourself. It was like, I just want a scholarship and I wanted to say, come here and chill with all of my friends and Chugs. And I'm like, he's like, you just want a scholarship and you came here? Like, no, thank you. And, you know.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know. I thought about him being like a kindergarten teacher when he's like, everybody say happy birthday to Michael. Like, it was just like really, really, I don't know. I love the Chugs. He got really
excited to share. He was playing Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, which is a infamously hard Resident Evil game that is basically every event in that game is RNG, like total RNG, totally random. And so he was watching speedrunners in order to get good. And so he was using like speedrunner lingo and explaining to people what that meant and showing them cool little tricks that he learned from speedrunners. And he was just so delighted to share, like, okay, if you hit this button at this point and open the door, then the guy shoots the zombie and you don't have to use a bullet. And it was just, you know, so
yeah.
more wrestler streamers should learn from Adam.
A thing or two from the Chugs.
They only have to do it for several years.
Yeah, yeah, right.
That's
yeah.
But yeah, so Johnny Johnny is doing all of that, and then Kyle O'Reilly is making eyes emojis about various things happening in AEW. So,
other than that, I guess like on WWE programming, Sammy and Brock are doing a thing.
It's apparently quite good, and I believe that it's good because Sami Zayn's a very good performer,
Yeah.
and
But
Brock
that doesn't-
Lesnar tends to sell for people he likes.
yeah, that doesn't mean that it's the ratings are higher, so it's making more money. So wrestling. Jesus Christ, that's like
it's a galaxy brain take if you really think about it.
So we didn't talk about last week's Rampage because we streamed on Thursday. Hook debuted.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that.
Hook debuted. He has a theme by Action Bronson. It slaps actually.
Action Bronson, surprisingly good. No, not surprisingly. He's a very good rapper.
Yeah. I loved that he came out in like the classic boxing shorts with just the Hook logo across. And then like the whole week Taz was doing like fucking Steiner math like in the booth, but like fucking it up real bad, which is kind of Taz's gimmick at this point.
Yeah.
Like he, Bye, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle.
He does like the Ruby Soho really bad, and so he did really bad, name, serial numbers filed off, Steiner math. And then his son came out and he was just like putting his son over.
Yeah.
He's like, that's my boy. That's my boy. See that move he did there? He's been doing that since he was 11 years old. He's a top-notch judo player. And he was like, what did I say that he was like? Like, there's a certain character that Austin Walker or Friends at the Table plays sometimes that's, like, very obviously from, like, Jersey or, like, East New York City. That's like, yeah. See, and has those kind of affectations, and Taz is very much that. So I was enjoying it. It was like
Papa asked why didn't he debut sooner? Literally an age contractual thing. I think it might honestly have just been they wanted to make sure he was like TV ready.
Yeah, they were
And
building
they
up.
weren't going to debut him on Darker Elevation because Hook has built up to be at the very least a pretty popular meme.
Yeah.
So they wanted to have his debut on TV, so they wanted to make sure he was ready for it.
And he's been training with Cody Rhodes, who, despite who Cody is on TV, seems to be a pretty good wrestling trainer.
What I will say is that I kind of feel like
The
most of
anti-Dominic got it.
most of the Nightmare family have not been anything.
Not the Nightmare family or factory, but like wasn't who is now Cora Jade, wasn't she Nightmare Factory?
I knew she was on Dark for a little bit. I didn't know she was part of Cody's school. She might have been.
Yeah, no, Rob accurately points out that Hook is the anti-Dominic.
Yeah, Dominic Mysterio debuted on a pay-per-view.
Yeah. No, I think this was fine. Like, this felt like the right time.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Like, it was
legitimately
good.
They needed to pull the trigger on Hook pretty quickly because he's been getting very big and you don't want him to accidentally disappoint anyone, and he didn't. He was great.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything else about last week's Rampage. I don't think I watched last week's Rampage, actually.
That was all.
I just saw Hook.
Yeah, that was kind of all I remembered from it. And then, like I said, I don't... Excuse me. Now that Johnny has exited the building and Kyle's exited the building and Adam Cole has exited the building,
NXT's done. I'm not watching it. I used to be the NXT person, but
times they are a changing, as it has been said.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm trying to remember.
I haven't even blinked an eye at Monday Night Raw because I don't know why I'd want to.
Yeah, Big E is gonna have a fatal 4-way with Kevin, Seth, and Bobby Lashley for the title at day one, and I'm feeling like Kevin Owens is gonna win it just because it sounds like maybe a pretty big assurance of we are giving you a big money contract and also not going to cut you in 3 weeks is we're giving you the big title.
Yeah, like go for it. Like I thought,
Kevin Steen at AEW can do a lot of things. He's not going to win that heavyweight championship.
Yeah. So last week on Rampage, just really quickly, it was the Lucha Brothers.
Oh, that's right. There was some damn ass good wrestling on Rampage last week.
there was some good
That's right.
wrestling. We just forget.
FTR, because
FTR.
let's be honest,
and the
there's
Oh,
Lucha
good,
FTR
Brothers.
and Lucha Brothers had a match. I didn't
Yeah.
watch it because I knew FTR was losing, and that's no fun.
that's the thing about it is there is good wrestling on AEW television every week. Like there's like a good to great match every week. So it's not like WWE where it's like, oh man, that one was really great. Like,
Yeah. Like, and Charlie
What
and
I will say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, Charlie and I have even gotten to the point where we've stopped. As much as we like Fightful Sour Graps, like, we stopped listening to the NXT and Raw and SmackDown recaps because, like, we're like, hey, we could be listening to other things that we enjoy.
like, and not that we didn't enjoy
Like a
those.
detox.
Not that we didn't enjoy those things because the personalities behind them are very good, but sometimes I'm just like,
Does this spark joy?
Does this
No.
spark joy? If it doesn't, then let it go.
Yeah. So, and we had a Xbox documentary to watch this week, which, despite the first episode being kind of just like a big ad, it gets more nuance, and
Yeah.
you learn a lot of stuff in the second.
Yeah, go ahead and watch if you want to. Go ahead
It's on Xbox
and watch
YouTube.
Game On, the story of Microsoft. Power On, the story of Microsoft Xbox.
Yeah. So, so on Rampage we had the Lucha Brothers and FTR, which was a lot of fun. We had a trios women match between Ruby Soho,
Oh, that was fun
Anna
too.
Jay, and Tay Conti versus Nyla Rose, the Bunny, and Penelope Ford. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
That is fun, yeah.
And I do like that they're building a feud now between Ty Conti and the Bunny and Penelope Ford. Penelope Ford and the Bunny just getting to be mean girls and not really having any tie to the burning wreckage that is the HFO.
Oh, I have things to say about that.
Yeah, so I mean that's that. We'll leave that
then
behind if
this week I went to Winter is Coming, where Hangman Adam Page and Bryan Danielson went to a 60-minute time limit draw. It was an exceptionally good match, unless you were there in person, where there were multiple minutes of Hangman Adam Page lying down on the ground outside the ring, and the ref just being like, Toru Yano face.
Oh, no.
Oh.
And like, I don't know, I'm a weird stickler for rules sometimes, and I do recognize that. Like, I want rules to be followed by the refs so that breaking rules matters more. Basically what FTR says. But more specifically, I think that it's like the ref counts to 5. We're in commercial break at this point, I assume, because I can't imagine they would do this on live television. But there's a point where Bryan Danielson is just pummeling Adam Page, pulling him against the ring post over and over again, and the ref gets in his face and is like, stop doing that. If you do that again, I'll disqualify you. And Danielson does it like 5 more times before getting back in the ring. And then the ref does the 10 count. He counts to 5, and then he sees that Hangman's bleeding. He puts on gloves and steps outside the ring and stops counting. And Hangman's just laying there for like a while, a pretty long while.
We saw in picture the doctor give Hangman some water and like pour some water on the cut on his head. Like we saw that in picture, which I knew was like the downtime in the match. Like,
yeah, it was extremely bad to watch. Again, if during the Danielson Omega match, which exact same ending but a lot faster, when it went to ad break, when I'm pretty sure Danielson was like, he got put through a table on the outside or something.
yes, and then Kenny spent the time congratulating himself on the outside of the ring.
He did that. He went into the ring, played with the crowd a little bit, went outside the ring to break the count, because that's how you keep narrative cohesion in a match.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulated himself on the outside, went back. He broke the count like 2 or 3 times in that ad break, because otherwise the ref was going to hit 10. And that's just why couldn't Danielson got in the ring and flipped off the crowd a bunch, which was very funny. But like, why did the ref stop counting?
Yeah. Like,
as someone who was there in person, I was just like, come on, do something, anything.
Like, here's my thought. And what I keep coming back to. when you hit a certain point in a match where you realize the match is going to go to probably the time limit of the match,
Or if that's what you're playing.
if you are at any point saying, oh man, this is going to be a 60-minute match, isn't it?
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
That should not,
as a viewer.
that should, as a viewer, like that, you should be engaged, right? Like, so you should be engaged.
I will say I was outside of that, which at that point I didn't realize it was going to go to time limit. I assumed it was going to be like long, but not 60 minutes.
I thought we'd end about 40 minutes.
Yeah, I was expecting around like the 45-minute mark. I was like, man, this match has been going a while. I hadn't checked my phone at all at this point, by the way. I didn't know what time it was.
Yeah.
And when Justin Roberts called for, I think, 10 minutes left, I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like, I had gotten to the point where like, oh man, this is gonna, like, there were some tremendous spots and I enjoyed the match a lot. They did so much good work there.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't be lying. I would be lying to you if I said I liked this match more than Kenny's 30-minute time limit draw. I mean,
I would also be lying to you about that, and I'm not the Kenny Omega mark that Charlie is.
Yeah. Like, it is. Like the narrative points for me are what kind of fall a little, because Danielson has spent a month harassing and beating up Hangman's friends.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, the match should have had more urgency than it did, because it should be Hangman is a cowboy. Like, he can brawl. He can do technical stuff too. He's got a lot of, like, he's a 5-tool player, as they say. But if you are beating up my friends for a month, like, and not just beating them up, but brutally beating them up and telling me that I wasn't good enough to be the champion, I want to see an angry man beat the shit out of Bryan Danielson. Yeah. Like, that's where the narrative starts to fall apart for me.
That was my other thing was, okay, Danielson's been wrestling every week. He makes a point of saying, I wrestle every week. Mm-hmm. You've been resting for a month. Hangman did not seem like he was rested. Hangman, from the beginning of the match, Hangman seemed more gassed than Danielson to me. He was moving so a lot of what I've been comparing Hangman's recent matches to, which I don't think have been bad, but I think have been a bit short of the mark, is his match last year at Full Gear against Omega, where he did things like a standing shooting star press. He did multiple pop-up power bombs. He did stuff off the ropes. It was it was a shorter match than both his title match against Omega and his title match against Danielson, but he felt like he was doing more. Here, there was like maybe a couple power bombs, but like for the most part, he was in peril the entire match.
Yeah.
Until the ending where he hits the buckshot and like doesn't cover in time, but that didn't feel narratively satisfying for me. Okay. I'm also parsing my feelings about this in real time. You are watching me do this.
Yeah, which is fine.
Like, Hangman's whole thing is like the whole match was centered around like Hangman needs to hit his finisher to beat Danielson, basically. Like, he hit him all the same. He did Deadeye. He hit a tombstone. It's literally, this is Okada Omega. They're doing the thing. And
but you
ends on, and similar to Okada Omega, it ends on Hangman hitting the leg and not being able to get the pin in time, which is whatever. But Hangman isn't Okada. He's not Okada at Dominion 2017.
Ooh. Yeah. And he's not Omega at Dominion 2017 either.
Danielson is arguably Omega at Dominion 2017. You can make that comparison.
Yeah.
Hangman has not had a title. Okada had like 6 title defenses by that point.
But like in some ways,
he was already a dominant champ. He'd won the title a few times off of Tanahashi during their whole thing. Then he had a monster reign that he had already beaten Omega. Mm-hmm. And then went to a time limit draw, and it was a big deal. But this was like, I understand the story being that Hangman has just beaten his greatest demon and has basically found himself with another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he doesn't feel like a meaningful champion right now.
Well, and the thing is, like, neither of them is like super dominant right now. Like, if you think about, like, they've obviously built up Bryan Danielson to be this big guy.
Because he is.
I'm just, I'm not discounting him. I'm just saying within the narrative of AEW, they built him up to be this big guy. He's had these incredible matches, but in some sense, he is still proving himself. He feels like he's not anything without the belt. But then Hangman also has just had the belt. This is his first title defense. So in some ways, it's like a clash of these big guys, but both of them are coming to the table with something to prove.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a very different narrative than Okada Omega, which is like the other big 60-minute draw and brings obvious comparisons because of the backgrounds of both of those men, because of, Hangman kind of coming out from under Kenny's one little angel wing, so to speak, and being the champion after Kenny Omega. But the thing is,
I don't know why you didn't. I don't know why you go to a 60-minute time limit draw to invite those comparisons anyway.
Yeah, and it's the one thing that is pissing me off the most in wrestling, all wrestling right now, is WWE is doing it, and then AEW did it last night. A 60-minute classic. You cannot say that something is a 60-minute classic as it is airing. I don't care.
What's your beef with the greatest wrestling match of all time?
I don't. It's like, to me, that is so, you're filled with your own self-importance.
Yeah.
And that is such a WWE-ass thing to say.
Those matches in New Japan have a legacy for a reason. And they were I don't know why. And I am who I am, and I can't turn it off, but I want to just say as objectively as I can, Kenny and Hangman are two very different wrestlers. It is an apple and oranges situation. If I want an apple, I'm not going to need an orange. And if I want an orange, I'm not going to eat an apple. So unless there is really some very connective tissue being weaved that I don't know of yet, and I'll let them tell me the story. Why? Let Hangman, and I get it. He swam in the deep water of a 60-minute match. But what did we accomplish by not getting him? You want to put over Hangman? Have him beat the guy Kenny couldn't.
Yeah, or
so is Hangman beating Danielson going to be this white whale he chases? Is Danielson going to beat Hangman? They could do both. They could have Hangman win and then Danielson come back for a third rematch and win that or whatever. I'm not going to complain. I'm sure they can tell the story really well. But as it stands right now, Hangman's a champion who couldn't win in 100% of his defenses so far.
Yeah, and what is and there is some interesting narrative meat on the bone of Hangman couldn't seal the deal, so if he already has a shaky background of feeling like he's not good enough, what does that do now? But I don't know. It was a very...
I feel like it's not the best way to follow up a story of Hangman doesn't think he's good enough and proves he's good enough to follow it up with Hangman doesn't think he's good enough again.
Yeah, it really doesn't.
I get it. I have anxiety too. I understand. I don't want to see that all the time.
Yeah. Well, and it's so much of the why he was able to get the championship belt in the first place was because he had owned so much of that shit and dealt with it while he was away. And to see him just kind of take shit from his friend, or see his friends take shit, not come in guns blazing, so to speak, and then just kind of have a long match. And if your goal is to say, well, but he can hang for 60 minutes, that's appeasing the kind of squared circle jerk people that you don't want to be.
Okay, I don't even go there. Hold up.
But that's the thing, right? Is oh, well, if he can't, he might be the champion, but we didn't see enough wrestling. It was too much emotion from him. And the time when he won the title. So really what we need to see from him to see if he can actually wrestle and be a champion is a New Japan style match, like one of the classics. Like if you're playing to that kind of wrestling watcher, you've already lost. Like don't pander your product. That's how you get to the where the WWE has gotten, right? Like they're pandering to like the lowest common denominator. And that's not to say that something of value isn't found along the way, because I think there is value in not what they're doing right now, but structuring things for a more casual audience. However, I don't think like pandering to the kind of people that are like, the best Kenny Omega was when he was the cleaner and being super awesome and macho all the time and tough guy. Like those people are not the people you want as your core audience. And I just, I don't understand like, yes, you can make the argument that something of value is made by him having a 60-minute match, but I don't think that those arguments, like the way they're structured and some of the people that they're coming from, like those people are not going to be happy with AEW anyway at the end of the day. Like they're always going to find some bone to pick because those people are bone pickers. Like that's what they do. They always find some weird logical loophole that doesn't make any sense because that's how the fucking internet works. And like if you're gonna book to a Reddit audience or like that kind of like hyper specific audience, like that's not what will lead your product to have narrative coherency. Like have faith in your product, have faith in where do you want to be in 6 months, 12 months. Like, and book that way. Like, Hangman is like a Stone Cold Steve Austin of the modern era and speaks to people. Okay, what's interesting to do with that and move forward with it? Don't just book to like, winter's coming, we want him to have a match with Bryan Danielson. Like, you haven't gotten this far booking that way. I don't understand why you do that now.
I want to step back and say, this is them having not booked themselves into a corner, but getting thrown into a corner because Jon Moxley had to go to rehab.
Yeah, that's true.
This was not the plan for Winter is Coming, from what I can gather.
Yeah,
because also
that's
I
true.
can't imagine that Hangman versus Moxley writes itself for that first match.
Yeah, that's true. I just, at the same time, like, I do think it's just as valid for them to have the Bryan Danielson match, given what happened at Grand Slam and kind of the follow-up. Like, if nothing else, like, if you've booked yourself into a corner, kind of like, I don't know, gather up all the producers and everything into a conference room and say, okay, we don't know when Mox is coming back. Let's map out like a plan and go from there.
I don't even mind. Like, I don't even mind that it was Brian. Like,
No, I don't
I think that's fine. But like, how about like, I thought a perfect first opponent for Hangman coming out of the gate would have been someone like Malachi, like something like that. And now as I say those things, I start to think about how many protected guys there are in AEW. Like, you
Malachi
know,
is not protected. Andrade is not protected, by the way, because Cody beat them both clean.
Oh God, no, you're right.
He beat them both clean, not just like fucky.
It went off my. No, it didn't exist in my brain. So
they have only protected so far Bryan Danielson and CM Punk and Adam Cole, because Adam Cole can say he's never lost a singles match.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone else has taken out. We've complained about Cody before. That's my biggest problem with Cody, is that all these feuds, they're like, oh, he's doing this to put over Malachi. He went over Malachi to end the feud. He went over Andrade to end the feud. They're not having more matches.
Yeah. And I don't want to see, and frankly, I don't want to see Hangman and Brian still feud after this.
Oh, I don't know that I agree with that. I think that they gotta, and I'm looking forward to it.
At this point, yeah.
Like, okay, like, I don't hate it. I just really want to be very straightforward and say that I think it was good, and I think we'll do some good things here. I just, wanted to talk critically about it because I had some problems with the way it was presented. Yeah.
Papa asks if it's growing pains from having such a rapid influx of talent. It is, and it's not going to get better anytime soon, unfortunately. They're going to keep getting people who the people at AEW want, because they're the type of people who should go to AEW.
In a
Yeah.
way, I think this specific match only is a growing pain issue because of the way that they've set Bryan Danielson up, and because they wanted to.
I don't even know if that's true though, because
Harken-
I think
Well,
it feels like Bryan Danielson was going to lose his first match at Full Gear against Jon Moxley if obviously things didn't go the way they had to go.
And maybe it would have been by cheating, but
Yeah, but
you know,
there wouldn't have been a 60-minute match at Winter is Coming. Moxley isn't a
that's true.
60-minute wrestler.
but
I can't imagine this was always the plan. And to me, it feels like they were saying, all right, we have to do this. We don't want to have Danielson lose to Hangman already, because it is quite possible Danielson's the guy to take the belt off of him. They could do that down the line. They don't want to have him lose this soon.
yeah. It's
like, I wouldn't have even had problem with the 60-minute draw had the storytelling within the match been better.
for me too, I think.
Because the thing about the Kenny Okada match, which makes it so, like, it could have only ever ended in a draw, because like the last 20 to 15 minutes are just like, they're both very gassed.
They're
and desperate.
so desperately tired.
Yeah, like gassed in kayfabe, probably not in actuality, because
They probably were also not
Yeah.
that gassed, but you
Yeah.
gotta be tired.
yeah,
No, Kenny's on spaghetti legs for the last
Yeah.
15 minutes of that match.
yeah, and it's
And it's got a spot in it that is like electrifying in the last 10 minutes of the match when all the Bullet Club comes out and like Cody tries to throw the towel in. Like, it's got stuff in it that's like very story centric.
yeah, like none of the
Like, where was my Dark Order coming down to like rally Hank? You know what I mean? Like, where was that? I don't want that direct parallel, by the way, but just like
there could have been more in the match, and even the moves in the match, like, it just didn't feel like, it felt like 60 minutes because they booked it to be 60 minutes, not 60 minutes because the story required it.
yeah, it was like it's kind of like
They could have done 30-minute matches for everything, and I think it would have come out the same.
yeah, it was like one of those you know what it feels like? You mentioned that, Mikey. It's like when a professor gives you a paper and says this has to be X amount of words.
Yep.
And instead of
You just
hey,
start
write
writing
this
filler halfway
yeah, it's
through.
like, or instead of like, hey, write this essay and it's going to be however long it needs to be. Yeah.
And that's not to say that, like, when Bryan and Hangman sat out to put the match together and were working with whoever was agenting it, that's not to say that they were just like, we're just gonna fill the middle with fluff. It's just like somewhere creatively this didn't come together.
I also think this match would have been a 60-minute draw, would have been much better on a pay-per-view and not not dissected with commercials.
Well, yeah, obviously, but you know, you have to know that they're gonna book Winter Is Coming as if it's a pay-per-view. So.
Also, I think this match might have been better with commercials in it. You didn't
Yeah.
have to see the real filler.
Mhm.
Yeah. But like the flip side of that is, like, I do think, and we didn't bring up the main event from Rampage last week and what is just happening all the way in general now, the new feud for the Super Elite or the Super Click or the Elite, whatever you're calling
The Super Click and Bobby Fish.
They're calling them all of those things.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'm wearing the shirt that I'm wearing, but I love, I love Adam Cole and the Young Bucks, and I have always loved the Best Friends, and putting them together in a feud has just been like, you talk about talent influx and everything. It would have been so easy to lose all of those people in the shuffle, or like put them together with the HFO, or like have like
They were feuding with the HFO for age.
I know
It was
but,
one of the longest feuds they've done at AEW.
yeah, but like, no, I'm saying like put the Young Bucks with the HFO.
Oh.
Like against the HFO. Like it would have been easy coming out of the pay-per-view and coming out of the Hangman story kind of ending to put the Young Bucks in a temporary feud, or, one that is transitory or isn't very good. But the way that the feud with the best friends has been going is like, that's an example of how to use this talent influx well, in my opinion. Especially because so like the main event on Rampage with the best friends and Rocky Romero of Chaos.
Rocky Romero is officially part of the best friends now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is. They
Yeah,
did
and
hug
the best
everything.
friends are all members of Chaos.
Yeah. Also, it made me realize, seeing that, I was like, oh right, the Bucks got the blessing from Okada to do the I forget what the camera like shot is called
Bye,
when they do
Papa.
the bye Papa, when they zoom out really far. Like that comes from the Rainmaker, and the Young Bucks, when they were starting AEW, all actually got the blessing from Okada to do that for the best friends. It was their idea. So now to have that be a Chaos originated thing, and to have the best friends be doing it when they are now part of Chaos, is just like, that is long-term storytelling. It was so good when I realized that and put two and two together. And now they're going to have Adam Cole, as of the latest Dynamite, as a present for the Young Bucks. And then they're talking about that, and then Kyle O'Reilly does like an eye emoji with like a what's in the box gif, just like out of context. So, you know, even if it doesn't end up being that, I like the work that's being
it's
done.
totally that. don't even kid yourself on that bad boy.
Yeah,
I look forward to whatever it is.
Yeah, it's either Kyle or some other thing that's gonna make the Bucks go like, oh, thanks.
Christmas, the box explodes and it's surprise Von Wagner.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to watching the Bucks attempt to coexist with Adam and his Undisputed Era buddies.
Yeah.
And how long that's gonna gonna
but
continue.
I do think like that is an example of utilizing the talent well, and those two factions just butt up against each other in very fun ways, and it lets, you know, now the Bucks get to do like a not so serious feud, which I think like plays to
Oh, they're gonna super kick Sue.
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
Plays to their strengths, and then the best friends being able to be up against someone that actually does the comedy well in the Young Bucks and Adam Cole plays to their strengths as well, because doing like, obviously Matt Hardy is not a super serious wrestler in terms of gimmick, but
He doesn't sell their comedy at all.
no, he doesn't sell their comedy. Like Matt's like, I am the only one that gets to have ridiculous gimmick, and it's like,
Oh yeah, I wanted to mention this. Matt Hardy was more over than the Dark Order in Texas. Like
That doesn't
one of
surprise
the
me,
elevation
but
matches was the Dark
unfortunate.
Order versus Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy and
Lord.
the Blade. And Matt Hardy got the loudest pop out of everyone there, including John Silver, who came out to support his friends.
That's wild.
I was not expecting that at all.
that doesn't surprise me, unfortunately.
That's wild.
I can see the people of Garland, Texas being like, no, like, just, it's near Austin. I can see that being like prime Matt Hardy territory. It's worth noting, Vishal, I know Vishal and I have been on the like private party needs more visibility train. Mark Quinn is injured, so that's why it was Matt Hardy and Isaiah Cassidy. So they're not going to be an item for a while until Mark Quinn is feeling better, and I hope he heals very soon from whatever his injury is.
One last piece on the little promo package that Vishal didn't get to see because
I ended up watching it after, but yeah,
Okay.
they didn't show us that in the stadium at all. We didn't.
So
I had to
wild.
like find it on Reddit after I got to my hotel.
So based on what you told us, which is that like basically none of the video packages got shown.
They showed the Malachi one,
Right, but that was the only one, right?
Yeah, between Dynamite and Rampage, they showed a couple more. They showed Griff Garrison, and that might have been it. Oh no, and they showed the Ty Conti one as well.
Okay.
That's so weird that they would show them between the two and not when they were actually airing. That still sounds
when all of those packages were airing, we had it was the entrances to the Wardlow Matt Sydal match, so they just had the entrances going.
Yeah, usually. So my experience has been when there is a video package and also people entering, they will just have the entrances while they have the video package going, because that's like basically what they did it All Out, right?
Yeah, like that was a little strange when I was like, you were like, is something happening right now? And I'm like, yeah, this video package is playing.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, there's a way to do it, that not showing the video packages at that point. Because, like, the other thing is, most of the time for the video packages, they'll have the live crowd reactions mixed in. Because you want people to be able to react to it, especially if it's a backstage. Like, that makes it really good.
Yeah, in Rampage for the Mark Henry stuff, they had it live because obviously.
Yeah. So, like, that's just, and not only that, but apparently there was something fucky with the Young Bucks entrance. Like, they were like flashing lights or something, which they never
it was
had.
extremely bad. Like,
yeah. So it sounds
the tunnels that they had basically. You know how the tunnels have lights where the tunnels actually are, like on the rim. They flashed like to the point where like I couldn't see for a couple seconds.
Jesus.
It was extremely
and that's
bad.
never happened before,
No,
right?
As far as I can tell, no.
We've seen Young Bucks entrances.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That one was
also, it was an
wild.
indoor venue, so it got really smoky after just like 2 entrances of pyro.
Yeah, that was our experience at the Wolstein Center as well.
Yeah.
That you feel like as the fans blow the smoke and the heat, Cody's is especially bad.
Cody's is the worst.
Because all that fire like just makes the venue like 3,000 degrees. And I can't imagine being the person that wrestles in that, because like the heat doesn't hit you immediately, because heat does take time to travel through the air.
It hit me immediately. I was extremely close to all the pyro.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's bad when it's indoors, like not to a terrible degree, but like you feel the heat. But yeah, it just seemed like there was something real fucky going on in the audio visual department over there.
Yeah, like here's the thing. Sorry, I'm just trying to do something at the same time.
Making a tweet.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just saying. The thing I liked about that little vignette was the kazoo jingle bells. That was a very.
It took me a second to figure out what it was.
That was super delightful. And also Matt saying "Merry Christmas, you filthy animals." Home Alone is my favorite holiday film. So that was good. And then there was an hour missing of Dynamite. And there wasn't much else.
So they hyped up Sheeta Deeb 3, but I'm going to be honest, that was a letdown of a match.
Yeah.
Like, the finish was nowhere near as impactful as a rubber match between them should have been. The build was literally just a video package last week. That was right. Sheeta Deeb 3 next week.
Yeah, there have been a couple vignettes, like part of the video package. I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. Deeb did do some of her best promo work that, in my opinion, she's ever done. Yeah. But it did just kind of like come out of nowhere that they were going to do a third one of these. Like, there hasn't been a consistent build. They're still I'll give them credit. They're trying with the women's division, but there's some major stumbling blocks still.
Yeah.
But yeah,
the match was, to me, like, I tried to be hot for them even after I was exhausted after the 60 minutes, just because like I like both of these wrestlers, but no, there was nothing to pop for most of the match. It's kind of dull.
Yeah, that's the problem with Serena Deeb, right? Like, holds can be exciting if there's other things stringing that together, but when a match is all holds after you just had a 60-minute match that had a lot of technical holds, like
every single match, I think, on Dynamite was just kind of that same formula of like the faces and heels do a little grapples, the heel runs to the ropes as soon as they don't have the advantage, and then we wait for like a minute to get reset.
And people want to know, and people always ask me why I like the type of wrestling I like. And it's because I don't have to fucking deal with this shit. I don't know. Like,
I like very grapple focused wrestling. I just also think that an entire show of it,
you need to
after
have
a 60-minute straight match of it,
You
Like,
need to have the
that's-
variety.
That's why the G1 works so well. That's why, like, it's not a bummer to see, like, a long match between Zack Sabre Jr. and the Bone Soldier. Or, you know, like, whoever. Because it's
Mikey
like...
just plugging that one out of here.
The Taiji Ishimori slander.
Yeah.
No, like, I mean, that's not someone that you're like... I mean, there's probably, like, 5 stands that are, like, ride or die.
Oh, there's stands for every single member of Bullet Club.
Yeah, there's probably a select number of individuals that are ride or die for Taiji Ishimori, but that's not the person that's the draw in the G1, right? You're not like, I'm gonna watch every single one of his matches.
Yoshihashi, anyone?
I mean, anyone who watched every single Taichi match this G1 suffered. That's what I'll say.
Yeah, for sure. But, like, actually, I'm actually thinking of the Japanese Dragon match. I don't even know if he wrestled Taiji Ishimori this G1. But,
Yeah,
like,
I don't think Taiji was in the G1.
Mikey's just pulling it.
He wrestled Shingo.
The alternate
Shingo.
universe.
But
Yeah.
also, Shingo's champion. That's a little different, but I get what you mean.
Yeah, like, the reason, like, those matches work, or, like, a Yano versus Yoshihashi match works, or whatever, like, the reason, like, those things work
The reason the crowd likes Toru Yano is because he is something different in a sea of New Japan main events.
right.
Yes.
Or, like, and even in New Japan main events, like, Zack Sabre Jr. has, like, a technical grappling thing, and also, like, brings his own style of, like, British humor into the matches. So it's not just like hold, break, you know, face does a upstanding thing, heel does a bad thing, hold, break, you know, like, it's a little bit more varied than that. And because the G1 has, like, so many different constellations of wrestlers all coming together and figuring out how to hold a match together and, like, what their chemistry is.
Yeah.
Like, when you have a big TV event that's a bunch of technical wrestling, or, like, people that are technically proficient, but that's not their fundamental skill. It's like, because that's the real issue, right? Is, like, someone that is, like, a very specialized technical like, if you have 2 technical experts together, like, that is very fun to watch and can be very dynamic. Like, that's what made the match between Ilya Dragunov and Walter, like, so much fun to watch, right? Is because those 2 people are very skilled at what they're doing. They're very aggressive. But when you have people like Hikaru Shida can match Serena Deeb for holds, but that's not her proficiency. It just is,
her
like,
style is more impactful, and she didn't get to use it for most of the match, and then she won. And okay, I don't remember what the third match on the card was.
Oh, it was Wardlow and Matt Sydal.
Oh, right. No, don't care about that.
Yeah,
Literally,
and then
they're doing
was...
accountability stuff. It was funny, but yeah, no, I want to talk about MJF versus Dante Martin, because at the angle I did not see Ricky Starks at all that match.
Really?
When he put MJF's feet on the ropes, I did not see him. So then I saw Dante Martin just be, like, on the ropes taunting someone, and then he got put into a submission and lost. From my view, there was not a fuck finish. It was just weird.
Yeah, that's wild.
I guess there was, but I still think it's very weird that, like, Dante, the feet are on the rope, sure, but then MJF just taps him out. Like, nothing happens between that.
Yeah. The whole thing is, I, schmuck that I am, thought for a second that Dante Martin had a real chance of taking this because they've been building him so strong. I know MJF is, like, one of the 4 pillars or whatever there's, you know, canonizing efforts are.
That's how I feel about that.
But you know, I thought for a second that Dante could get this, and then that would be the feud. Would be, give me my ring back. No, I want it fair and square. And also, I'm just so fucking tired of the Dynamite Diamond Ring being the thing that wins every MJF match because he hits them over the chin with them. Like, it's such a boring tactic. Like, I get using cheap heel tactics, but like when it's every fucking match, like that's another reason why I'm just vexed beyond belief with MJF,
Mikey's vexed.
Well, because it's like it's not interesting anymore. Like, what's the narrative? Like, why am I tuning? Or from a wrestling perspective, why am I tuning in? What's the signature sauce in this matchup? And if it's, well, MJF's gonna win because he's got the Dynamite Diamond Ring and he's gonna cheat with it. Like,
Literally
why?
the only time it was a good finish, and I like MJF much more than y'all do, but the only time it was a good finish was against Darby.
Yeah.
Every other time, against Cody, the first time he did it, sucked.
I thought it was good against Mox because Mox turned it around on him.
Yeah, and that was the Mox one was he tried to do it and it failed. The only time him actually hitting someone with the Dynamite Diamond Ring made a match end in a fun way was with Darby because he did the headlock takeover thing, and I was like, that's a funny goof.
Yeah.
But he did it against Cody to win that blow-off match. That was such a shitty finish to what was a really well-built feud.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my thing is, if this is just going to be MJF's, like, you know,
thing,
I think MJF's thing up till, I don't want to say just next year they're going to change it, but I do think that the Wardlow turn is coming much, like, it's going to be Revolution MJF versus Wardlow.
Yeah. But, you know, like, I just don't understand it being a thing that you have a match over if he's just going to have it, like, for 3 years running. Like, that is a weird thing to me.
Okay, but what if they put Wardlow over real good when he crushes the diamond with his boot because he's big, strong?
Okay.
Yeah. No. Okay. You can get me on board as soon as you start making more.
Yeah. As soon as it's not literally just the same thing.
Yeah. Also, MJF mostly did a forgettable promo, but he did call CM Punk the knockoff Ryback, and I thought it was extremely funny.
Yeah,
the rest of it, like, forgettable.
I muted it because he had another, like,
for
bad joke.
My personal stuff about the, like, shitty incest jokes he makes about Texas are, as someone living in Texas, I think they're hilarious because everyone in Texas is stupid.
Well, okay, so I will just straight up say he started the match with everyone in Texas, your daughter swallows, and I'm just like,
yes.
Mikey said mute.
Yeah, I did, because
I think it is very reasonable to not like MJF stuff. If
that's what you're gonna come out the gate with, like, ooh, I got you, like, listen, buddy, I've been through 6th grade.
I think that's specifically why I find it so funny, because it is, like, very clearly juvenile in a way that I'm just like, oh my god, you fucking dweeb.
Yeah, I mean,
but
again,
my response,
tolerances.
my tone calling someone a dweeb is more positive than most people's, I think.
Yeah, like, and again, it's again, apples, oranges, grapes, grapefruit, any other kind of fruit.
What I will say
is
that Max Caster did a very short rap because it was interrupted, but he did one line and it was in Dallas and it was about JFK, and I laughed extremely hard.
Max Caster is somebody who has found the happy medium with his raps, and I'm delighted for him.
Yeah, and when he and Leo Rush got to have, like, a rap promo battle of sorts, that was a lot of fun, because that's a fun way to use both of their talents, especially because Leo Rush is always gonna come out of the like, on the higher side of that, because Leo Rush is just that good. You know, like, that's a great way to do it. That's the other thing.
Max Caster, every time he does a rap, he doesn't sell it like he's actually really smart. He sells it like he's saying stupid shit and loves it.
Yeah. He's like, oh, this one's good.
And that's why I fell in love with the Acclaimed when they were on Dark. Like, that's what made, while they were on Dark and had that initial run on Dark, that's what made it kind of like appointment watching for a certain section of AEW fans, because it was just like, okay, what wild thing is gonna come out? And then, you know, obviously he is someone, I feel like it's valid to say whatever sensitivity training they send people to at AEW, it works, or at least it works to a degree that works for television, right?
Yes.
Like,
yeah, both Sammy and Max have not had it. Sammy's thing was also like 4 years prior,
Yeah,
so
Yeah.
but
there's
still,
something different
you know,
there.
like it doesn't hurt. I really
Yeah.
wish they would send MJF there. They're not going to, but I wish they would like
Yeah.
give him like a PowerPoint.
Honestly, I think
to
the
click
entire thing
through.
with MJF is that, like, as much as a lot of viewers reasonably dislike the things he's saying, the people involved with what he's saying all sign off on it, and he
Yeah, yeah.
makes sure that like no one in the AEW backstage is uncomfortable with anything he's about to say.
Yeah.
And well, Max Caster very clearly did not do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dan Lambert is kind of the same way, where it's like, well, as long
Dan
as
Lambert has, I think, so he came out in Rampage this week. I wasn't happy about it, but I will say
Unfortunate.
he has more clearly defined his personality as petulant baby, and it
Okay.
works. Like he does the jumping up and down, stamping his feet thing,
okay,
and I'm
that's
like,
fine.
okay,
Yeah.
that's okay.
I like a cartoon heel. I can get behind that.
This promo, he like, I still hate Dan Lambert because just looking at him makes me like,
Yeah.
in a different way from the Young Bucks, but much like the Young Bucks, he looks like someone I don't want to be in a room with.
Understandable.
Cody as well. He has got the same thing as Cody.
Yeah.
But his promo he cut was like literally nothing about like the bullshit he's been saying, and entirely about like, oh, Cody Rhodes kisses a lot of ass to get all the title shots he gets. Tony Khan gives title shots based on nepotism and not merit. And I'm like, you know what? I can get behind a heel manager saying this kind of shit.
Yeah, like if anything, in my opinion, you can twist it a little bit and redeem it. Like
Mhm.
you can push it into a better place.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know if
Yeah.
y'all mind spoilers for Rampage.
Spoiler
Yeah,
alert.
Ethan,
Yeah.
Scorpio,
It
Dan
won't be a
Lambert
spoiler
are
by the
cutting
time we put this
promos.
up on YouTube. So
That's true. And I don't think anyone's watching anymore. So,
it's
Kara's
okay.
still
Yeah,
watching.
We got twisted
Yeah,
on somebody.
Kara's still
Yeah.
here. Hello.
Dan Lambert makes me wanna
I'm sure
blah.
you won't leak any of these hot spoilers.
Yeah.
Cody comes out and interrupts him. They beat up Cody. Dustin comes out to save Cody. He hasn't been around in a while, so that was pretty nice. And also he's from Texas, so he got a big pop.
Yeah.
And
that's
then,
good. I appreciate Dustin
and
getting
then
a chance to get the hometown
Sammy
pop.
came out to like back both of them up and yell at the not America's Top Team, fucking the Men of the Year. And and then they do the thing. America's Top Team runs away like cowards. Men of the Year, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Cody tries to shake Sammy's hand and Sammy flips him off, and I was like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good job, Sammy.
Yeah.
Although you talk about one person like I do agree with Charlie that you can massage most anything and like get it closer to what you want it to be. But Cody coming out in the like Homelander stuff and the bleached blonde hair, like there's not much massaging you can do to that.
Which is why he now comes out in a sleeveless black hoodie to cover up all of his burns.
So he's sticking with the sleeveless black hoodie then.
At least when he's not wrestling. Maybe when he
Okay.
comes out to wrestle, he'll look different. But
Okay.
Yeah, I hope so, because like that's like hey, you look like someone in the would have
at Grand Slam, I just legitimately kept screaming, "You look like a fascist" over and over again.
like he looks like someone that
Cody looks like he would
have stormed the Capitol, like, straight up.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but I got one better, which is maybe less egregious, less egregious.
Mhm.
Cody looks like he would be a character from BioShock Infinite.
Okay, that is true. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Less
Like,
egregious.
Yeah.
Cody should dye his hair again. When he dyed it last for the Brody dog collar match, he dyed it too dark, and I think that scared him, so he went back to blonde.
He just got super
He
scared.
just bleached it right back because he was like, no, this is too dark. I look like a vampire.
Yeah. No, I think
yeah, that's right. He got mad when people didn't
I
get the
think it's-
reference to the
no,
death of
I
Superman.
think the
You
BioShock
came in like a really weird suit with a chain in the pocket? Like, Cody,
Yeah.
come on. That's not Death of Superman. That's a vampire.
I think the BioShock Infinite comparison is actually very apt because it's like the whole crux of BioShock Infinite was like, look how bad these caricatures of racists are. And it's like, you don't understand that your narrative being like, actually, centrism is the way. is just as bad as like those cartoon racists.
Much like Bioshock Infinite, Cody is not as clever as he thinks he is.
It is.
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
yes.
that is something that no matter what his current aim is, I feel confident saying.
Mhm.
I bet if you asked Cody if you liked Bioshock Infinite as a game, he'd have a really good answer.
I mean, for a while, you almost thought that he understood Metal Gear Solid when he was like, "Oh yeah, I was channeling Metal Gear Solid for my New Japan run because that says America's bad." But now I'm channeling the good parts of America. Now it's like, "Oh, Cody,
Yeah. Okay.
oh,
Yeah.
play Metal Gear Solid again, bud."
Yeah, you might want to. You might want to do
Or,
that.
You know, yeah. Speaking of which, there's a Splinter Cell remake that just got announced, and I
Yeah,
haven't
the
had
first one, right?
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to watch the trailer yet, but as someone that loves a lot of the Splinter Cell franchise, that is a game that I do not trust Ubisoft of today to remake at all.
Interestingly, it's not an open world at all, which balks in the face of Ubisoft's current model.
Oh yeah, I just mean also politically.
Oh, politically, yeah.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely not. No.
The third game, Chaos Theory, is where the original Splinter Cell series' politics were probably the best. The first one was very like cut and dried, and then like it went like Chaos Theory is the peak of that franchise, and then it all went downhill from there.
Oh yeah, I would not trust it.
No.
Yeah.
Not the studio that decides it wants to make NFTs, game NFTs.
Yeah, and you know all
the other stuff.
Yeah. Woof.
The matches
indeed.
on Rampage otherwise pretty good. Like
That's good.
I think I might have mentioned this to you offline, but the 8-man tag, good match. Best friends look good. The Super Elite plus Bobby Fish look good. Trent came back looking strong. I am into shaved head Trent. He looks like he's not desperately trying to hide the fact that he's balding anymore, which I always appreciate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Submission match was fine. Like, I am less hot on Ty Conti than a lot of people I see, I think. I think
Really?
she's
Because
fine, but I have not been enamored by literally anything she's ever done.
yeah, because that's kind of actually the temperature I'm seeing of her online is like yes, I think it's good to push people in the women's division and just kind of like they need more TV time, get them on TV. Like I think that's good.
Yeah.
But the thing that I've heard with this match is you again have someone that's not a submission specialist doing a match where it's all submission, and Penelope Ford is a very good wrestler, but maybe not good enough to
Penelope Ford jumps around. That's what she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She does like a back handspring,
She
like
does
Yeah, and
stunner.
like there are
Gymnastics.
jump aroundy wrestlers who can also turn it into submissions, like every strong style wrestler in the world.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like again
Penelope
like
Ford's not Asuka.
yeah,
basically what I'll say.
Yeah. That's
it's just like why have the stipulation or the crux of the match be that if that's not like the strength.
I understand it from a narrative sense in that literally the brass knuckles are their version of the Dynamite Diamond Ring.
Yeah.
Okay, that's true.
yeah. Like it's weird that was like the thing. When I heard that was the thing, I was like, okay, sure.
And then the 10-man tag team match was a 10-man tag team match. I cannot say there has ever been one that I would classify as not exhausting.
Yeah. Eight man is about the limit for me personally.
I think there was
Dark Order versus Elite at the fucking Halloween match. That was good.
Wasn't that still a 8-man though?
No, that
Or
was
was
10. That was 5 on
that's
5.
10.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
That was a good one. And
Yeah, that
Yeah.
was probably the only good
the
one.
12-man tag. The 12-man tag. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it was an 8-man. So no. 1, 2, 3, 4,
Which
5, 6.
match?
It was a 6. It was a 12-man tag. Way back last year, it was the FTR, the Bucks, Kenny and Hangman
I
versus.
thought that match was exhausting too, though.
Really, I like that a
it
lot.
wasn't the worst thing in the world, but just there's too many moving parts. And again, I'm a stickler for the rules when it's just tell me who the legal man is.
Yeah,
I'm begging
I know.
you.
Yeah.
I know you're a real stickler on that one.
I think it's like for me, like the legal man
I
syndrome.
just want to know when people are in the ring, does
And if
this
they're
mean
legal,
someone can get pinned right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, the legal man stuff is entirely like a ADHD thing. It's like, who should I focus on at this
Yeah,
point?
exactly. It's like, and I think this match does that in the finish very well, where because I was watching the whole match, I was able to tell the entire time who the legal man was. And so
Yeah.
when the finish came, I wasn't like, wait, what? But it was still just like, it's a 10-man tag match. Daniel Garcia is my surprise, like, favorite newcomer this year.
Yeah,
He's
so
very good.
that actually
I watched him at his debut at AEW Homecoming and made jokes about him, and now I'm like, oh man, this guy's real good.
Daniel Garcia.
He's also very looks like a very sweet person in real life. Like, he had a huge line at the AEW Fan Fest at All Out, and he was just constantly like,
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Well, because like at that point it was like Brandon Cutler, like Five, and like
Alan Five Angels.
Alan Five Angels.
Alan
oh my God.
Angels.
And Daniel Garcia. And I think what happened is people might have bought tickets to the Fan Fest because there was that huge GCW event going on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of those people were in town, and he's been a huge indie wrestler. So it was like, you know, meet and greet, whatever. And
he's really good.
He was just like totally surprised at the amount of people, and was just like constantly laughing and smiling, and like probably doing the most interacting with the people signing of anyone there. Like, Brandon was like, picture, here's your 5x7. Okay, next person. And he might have been also very tired because he has a lot of work that he does.
He has a big full-time video editing job.
Yeah, to contract Cutler.
Cutler.
But yeah, so Daniel Garcia seems like a very nice person also. So
that leads me into what I'll since I don't know when we'll be streaming next week, since it is Christmas time, but it does lead me into my next question, which is, I guess the week after we'll maybe talk more about year-end stuff. But just off the top of your head, just I'll ask all three of you. So Vishal, you can go first.
You mean all two of you?
No, all three of us.
All three of us.
Oh, okay.
I'll ask
So
myself and then both of you.
I mean, if you want to talk about yourself in the third person, go off.
I'll do whatever
I think that's the
want.
second person, actually.
Yeah, I'll do whatever I want. Tell me who your favorite performer was this year and why.
Bryan Danielson. Because he has not had a single bad match this year. Like, we've complained at length about this hour-long draw. It was still a pretty damn good match. And he goes from main eventing WrestleMania, like real main event. As much as I do genuinely love that Sasha and Bianca got to main event WrestleMania, night 2 is the real main event. We know that. He real main evented WrestleMania, wrestled the very next Friday on SmackDown, and a couple months later went to AEW and wrestled a 30-minute draw against Kenny Omega, then wrestled literally more than once a week on average, because he wrestled pay-per-views and then also would wrestle TV that week as well. It was just an absolutely insane schedule. You can't beat that, I think.
For me, it would have to be, I think, a 3-way tie, because I'm that indecisive person. I think it's a 3-way tie between Kenny Omega, CM Punk, and Danhausen. Just off the top of my head. I'm sure there's things that I'm forgetting, but seeing Kenny Omega, I think, is obvious. If you've been watching this for any amount of time, I love him.
If you know either of the two people on that screen.
You know, Kenny was what brought me into AEW in the first place, and his heel run and the horrible clothing that he's been wearing has just been, had been wearing, has just been delightful, you know, as well as everything else he does. CM Punk, like, getting to see him come back to wrestling and just be genuinely joyful and then turn into this vengeful, spiteful man has been a lot of fun. And then just Danhausen, doing all of the things that he does and working, you know, so well It's a shame we didn't get to see him more in Ring of Honor, because I think he could have been actually pretty good at the Ring of Honor style. If Ring of Honor hadn't become what it was, if the pandemic hadn't been what it was. But, and then getting to see like the segments where he was trying to get a Ring of Honor contract, and, Dave Honor, I've come here, we've got legal seafood, all of that. And then going up to the A&W root beer drive-through and trying to submit a contract to Tony Wrestling.
Tony Elite.
Or Tony Elite, excuse me, and Corey. It's just so fucking funny.
It's very funny.
So, yeah, that's where I'm at. What
Charlie,
about you, Charlie?
Who was your favorite Kenny Omega this year?
Don't call me out like that. Sometimes I feel like picking somebody out of my wheelhouse.
I mean, I would pop if you picked
your
anyone
favorite?
else. I'm not gonna lie.
Who was your favorite Bebe this year?
Well, let's go with why I wouldn't pick Adam. Let me just go there first, because like, as much as I love Adam Cole, I think his work in AEW is you never know how much someone is being like, not necessarily watered down, but like it had gotten to the point, I think Bashal would agree, that Adam had done everything he could have done in NXT, and it was getting to the point where it was feeling pretty overwrought, like at the end there.
Or like overworked, like when dough gets tough. Yeah.
So like, as much as I love Adam, I think he's doing, I think if we had a full year of the Adam Cole we're getting now, like the guy who I truly believe is, and people will roll their eyes at me all they want, and they can do that. I don't care. Adam is kind of like, what I feel like he's like kind of like a chameleon in the ring. Like he kind of takes on the traits, like the match traits of whoever he's wrestling. Like he can ramp the humor up when it's someone like Orange Cassidy. He can get technical if it's someone like else that he's wrestling, and it's like gets that like any of his matches with Johnny, right? Like it can be that way. Like, so I think he's like this chameleon that maybe people don't give enough credit for, because they're like so used to NXT Adam Cole that they're like, oh, this is just how he wrestles, and it's the same every fucking time. Because that's what even in NXT, it was like that. It could be like that. So
I think his matches with Pat McAfee are probably like a great example of that.
So Adam did great. He's good. But I mean, I don't know. It's real hard for it not to be Kenny for me. I could say the Bucks, but it's really hard for me to say I connect to like any other performer that's maybe not Mox the same way I connect to Kenny. And it's just like, it's because like Kenny is a big match wrestler. Like any match that he's like, here's my championship match, like it's gonna be like what it is. It's a big match. You want to see Kenny wrestle. You want to see Kenny Omega wrestle, because he's got this like aura about him that I find it hard to think that anybody else could or would ever do the same thing. And like, I know like our friend Haven, who frequents the chat, like I think they were asking their brother about like their takes on like performers of the year, wrestlers of the year, like what wrestlers they like. And like, I think he mentioned that Kenny was weird. That's what I like about him.
Yeah.
Like, there's nobody else like Kenny Omega.
Go Eld.
Yeah, like, he's just that guy. Like, and I liked Mox in The Shield outside of Seth and Roman because he was the weird guy. Like, he was the weirdest guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always just very enamored with, like, the guy that's, like, not the same as the other guys.
Did you like Al in Death Note?
Wow, Mikey. No, I've only ever seen a little bit of Death Note. I didn't watch all of it. I don't know.
Favorite Naruto?
Who's my favorite Naruto? I don't think I have a favorite. I'd have to think about it. I don't know. That's like, Kenny's such a good wrestler, but it's not necessarily all of his wrestling. It's like everything else he does too. It's like the character of Kenny Omega inside of a wrestling match that I enjoy, and I know that's what turns some people off. But it doesn't turn me off.
Sorry, I had to pull that because the only thing I know about Death Note is that Elle is the weird one that sits on tables and like goes like this.
Did you watch Death Note,
No.
Michelle?
Oh, it did.
No. Oh. Wow, Mikey, you're not even like trying to pop our friend in the Twitch stream.
No, I just wanted to pop you right there. It was
Thank
something
you.
that came to my
No,
head.
I've never watched Death Note outside
So
of like
I
maybe.
do want to say my backup choice because y'all mentioned more than one person. My second choice is Matt Cardona, who completely revitalized literally everything about himself to be like, in my opinion, I like a lot of indie wrestlers like Daniel Garcia before he signed with AEW, Lee Moriarty rules. John Gresham is obviously one of the most exciting people not at a major company right now. But oh my God, Matt Cardona went from like just some guy to like the most must-watch heel of professional wrestling for me.
Yeah. No, and for a lot of people, I think like if I know I already said 3, but like and those are truly like I do feel like at least off the top of my head, like those are my 3. But I think if I had like another person, Eddie Kingston would be like my runner up.
I can understand that. Yeah.
Because he's done a lot of really awesome work this year.
Yeah.
But
I think it's really hard to pick one. Like
it is very, very, very funny to me that we are less than a year removed from like that era when Eddie Kingston was trying to get Penta to kill Phoenix.
Yeah.
Well, it might be a year now, but
like
you know
Eddie had a real heat with me. Eddie had a real heat with me.
2020 Eddie was scum of the earth.
Yeah.
Like,
I loved him, but Charlie could not.
I could not. But again, it turned on a dime for me when he came to save Mox. Like it all of that clicked. I'm not a heel person. I don't really like heels. Like if you're trying to get me to hate you, most of the time I'm like, go for it. That's fine. Stay away from me. I don't like it. The only exception,
he says the biggest fan of the Elite.
The only exception is the Elite, and I don't know why. I couldn't tell you why, but it's because they don't, in my opinion, they just don't hit those same bad buttons that like a lot of the other heels poke at me. I don't know. That's the only thing. Maybe because I want to I want to be that way, but I can't. I could be, but I'm not.
Yeah. Kara makes a good point about the storytelling in the moment that he saves Mox. You know, fuck the people that say the ending makes it
The ending would have made it bad if they didn't have a promo the next Dynamite saying, yeah, Kenny Omega's ring fucking sucks. Like, what do you want me to tell you?
Like, if you like, it's the fucking moment in Captain America, the one that no one remembers because it was so long ago. It was like one of the first Marvel movies after Iron Man. But like when Steve Rogers like jumps on the grenade, like when you jump on a grenade, you don't know if it's a dud or not. Like what matters is the act of trying to save someone.
I think it is reasonable to say that like the actual moment was extremely deflating, but also they made it work in the long run.
Yeah.
Like nobody's talking about it, and you know what I mean? It's not like
as soon as every time there's something to criticize, AEW responds to it very like in the right way, in the way they should.
Yeah.
And they need to find something else to latch onto.
Yeah. I do like that Eddie's bringing back up like my best friend Penta.
Which again, I need to stress, you tried to make these brothers kill each other like a year ago, dude.
I love that's where we're at though.
I guess it's kind of a spoiler to say this doesn't happen. I was honestly expecting some sort of like someone turns on someone in that match just because Proud and Powerful, I feel like, are in the title hunt.
Yeah.
The Lucha Bros would reasonably have some heat with Eddie right now, who abandoned them for Mox.
Yeah.
So I thought something was going to give. Nothing gave. It was like standard, which again, like another reason I was just like, okay.
Maybe, whatever. I mean, we're, seeds. We'll plant some seeds.
The angle from what I can understand, is going to be Jurassic Express, which will happen. Sure.
We're prepping. I guess we're prepping for something. No,
although like I can understand in that with how many men there are, that would get kind of muddled. Also, like anytime Cody is involved with something, he just kind of, because Cody was in that match, right?
No.
Oh no.
This was a 2.0 Garcia and the Acclaimed versus the Lucha Bros, Proud and Powerful, and Eddie.
Right. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of like it's just
There's a lot of people in that
bizarre
ring.
choice for the main event of Rampage, is what I'll say.
Yeah.
Oh, Eddie's Mark Henry promo was really good though.
Always.
I'm sure.
Eddie Kingston.
Always. Yeah.
I think all in all, this has kind of been like an off week of AEW programming. Like last week felt very strong.
I drove 8 hours for this.
Vishal, bless.
They call me Driver King Vishal. I've been doing it so much.
Here's the
I
thing.
need to stop.
Here's the thing. I can say that I appreciated the 60-minute match, but I don't love it the way some people do.
I can say that I think it was a good match, but I don't think it was a great match.
Yeah, I feel like it's like people that are odd by like people that came out of Avengers Endgame, like that was an incredible film. It's like, was it an incredible film, or are you just awed by the sheer spectacle of it? Like,
Mikey shoots on the 60-minute draw.
Do you think? Oh no,
Yeah, I don't have as negative feelings as Mikey.
No,
I think.
No, this is my genuine thought. I'm not even that negative. I'm just like, I'm thinking critically, like in terms of criticalness, because I don't even think Endgame was that bad of a movie. It was just, it was what it was.
No.
But it's like, do you actually think that was like one of the best long matches in history, or are you just awed by it because it happened on American television and you're not used to seeing that type of match?
Yeah, I mean,
like,
how I would describe this match is it is above average for an AEW match, which already has a pretty high average. So that's a good thing. Yeah. It is below average for 60-minute time limit draws.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or even just like longer form matches, right?
Honestly, I'm going to say it. I can think of 2 other time limit draws at AEW. The other one Danielson was in, and
Cody
versus Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, which
ended, I think, even more frantically with Orange getting the 2 count on the pin before time ran out. I think both of those matches were better.
We have a very nice comment from Silka Zone. You guys are great. Keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And thank you for chatting. Yeah. So my thing is like, there are some people out there on the internet that just have a boner for long matches in general. and it's like,
it's the same people who thought that Roman Reigns' current style was psychology and in-ring storytelling.
That's exactly it, right? Like, it's like, again, and that's really what I was getting at with my rant earlier, was like, if you're catering to the kind of people who want to watch 60-minute matches just so they can say, oh wow, that went 60 minutes, that was so intense.
They want to start calling things ring psychology is what it is.
Like, if that's what you're catering to, like, and I don't think AEW is, but just like, you have to be careful of that, because like booking based on what those people say is not the way to go. Like, using that as a metric is not.
I think so. Like we were talking about, like, there's performers that you just need to tweak one thing and it would have been better. I think with this, you just needed to give Hangman more offense throughout the match.
Yeah, like you just had to make him good. He can be a really dynamic performer. Like,
the man can do a standing shooting star press. That is ridiculous.
Like, I think, like, I don't know why it was so.
Have Brian like get out of the ring, do his shitty.
It was super plotting,
jumping jacks outside the ring, then get back in. Like, that's literally
the jumping jacks made me pop every time. I will say,
good.
It's entertaining. Funny. Like, it's entertaining. Like, I want to if you're gonna be a heel, entertain me.
Yeah,
which is why I love Kenneth. Like, entertain me.
Our friend Lav was joking about the form of the jumping jacks being very bad.
He was like.
But that was the whole match. It was just a mock. It's like a very mocking. I can do this all day, but like all you needed to do, or like have Hangman out bleeding on the floor and Brian just being like flexing over him.
He also did a good. He also did a good job working the crowd, where like I would say it was honestly 50-50 in the crowd between Hangman and Danielson, which I didn't expect.
That sounded like it.
But like towards the end, like, I don't know if you all saw this. I think you did, when he just started flipping off the entire crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone started booing. It was great. Big fan of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like good stuff.
That's what I can point to, a lot of really good things that happened in the match, but
Mhm.
as a whole, it was not 60 minutes of really good things. And that's
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
letdown.
Yeah, I want to stress, like, when I'm super critical of something, like, people take me being I'm someone that is a perfectionist in my own work.
Yeah, I have
So,
the exact same issue.
I am very hypercritical of myself. Rejection sensitive for you, gang, rise up. So like I have that same level of criticism in other people's work, in other artistic endeavors, and I'm always thinking like that. So
A
like
4-star match bugs me more than a 2-star match, is basically how I would put it.
Exactly.
Or
Like,
a 4.5-star match.
if there's
Like,
a
come
game,
on.
if there's a video game that I really like that's like an 80% good, but like Vishal, I know you weren't that hot on Control, but Control is one of those that like I'm like, man,
It is an 80% game, exactly.
I'm like, man,
yeah.
why did you have to like set up this awesome ending and then just have the last half an hour be fighting a big ball? Like, you know,
I am so angry that it didn't end when it's supposed to end on like despair, and
Yeah.
it just kept going after that. And I was like, oh.
yeah, I haven't played the last DLC, but that doesn't really the DLC doesn't really fix it. But yeah, it's like the same kind of deal. It's like, why couldn't you have just stuck the landing? Like,
Here's what I'll
exactly.
say. Here's what I'll say. My final note on this, which is
that you're really excited to play Halo 2 with me, so I can see the very divisive ending on that.
Yeah.
Yes, but also if something doesn't if something doesn't gel in the match, so if the pacing's wrong, especially in a match like this that's this long, you can win me back over, this is personally, with an injection of emotion. Like, if you have me hooked emotionally, fucking go 75 minutes. I don't give a fuck. But you didn't do that.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't do that.
Yeah, that's what I mean by giving Hangman more offense. He had very few times to, like, this entire match, honestly, it felt like Hangman was just kind of this rock that
Yeah.
Danielson needed to, like, overcome.
Yeah.
But then also Danielson was mocking him the whole...
Yeah. And Hangman is
They'll
someone
figure it out.
Yeah.
and this is gonna, I recognize this is gonna be a weird thing to say, but I feel like it's also a very wrestling thing to say. Hangman is someone who suffers beautifully, whether that is suffering in the eventual climb to triumph, or suffering it at the potential throes of defeat. Like, he is someone that you want to see. He emotes very well. And I don't think, because there was a lack of offense, because there was a lack of camera focus on his face, other than that one shot that when he was bleeding, like, we didn't get to see that. And the thing about him suffering beautifully is that's all part and parcel of his audience connection. The audience has a huge degree, and that's what got him over. The anxious millennial cowboy, you know,
he did not seem anxious in that match.
And he doesn't have to seem anxious all the time, but the emotional empathy that the audience can have with him to connect is such a powerful tool. Like, because he should be the audience cipher, right? Like, he should be the guy that we're placing our hopes and dreams in, because maybe we can't wrestle, but we have a connection with him. So, you know, like, maybe if we hope in him, he's just like us, but a little bit stronger, so he can persevere. And like, I think that's a really unique thing that he can do that is different than how Kenny Omega or some of the other New Japan imports like function. It's just fundamentally different connection with the audience and their storytelling. But we didn't see any of that. And again, it just goes back to whoever was agenting the match. You know,
there needed to be more focus on Hangman at the end of the day.
There was like, the one thing I'll always come back to when it comes to Hangman that we like got no showcase of this at all is like when he gets really worked up, like his his like comebacks are really
Yeah.
great. And he didn't get any of that. And then the one thing I remember to this day, and it was sometime earlier this year, it was like when Hangman like was like getting all those wins under his belt to eventually become what was the number one contender. Like when he won his last match before it would have been like, yeah, this guy, he's up top. He's number one in the rankings. He's gonna he's the next guy that Kenny could face. Hangman won that match and he was elated that he won, and you could see it in his face. And then it dropped because he realized what was next, that he'd have to face Kenny. And it was such a palpable like despair like that you could feel like in him, like because he's so good at that. Like I think like Hangman was part of the elite because he has all the tools they use.
Yeah.
Like he can tell the story, like he can do the out of the box things. He's a great wrestler. He has all of their powers combined almost.
Well, and he and Ruby Soho both have a very unique talent in terms of like their facial emotion.
I don't know why we didn't see any of that.
Yeah.
And also, just personally, Hangman's a very strong person who can easily pick Danielson up, aside from just countering Danielson's comeback sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I think he should have done a lot more throws and stuff. Just there were some,
just be pissed. Okay. Be pissed off that this man like bullied your friends for a month.
Yeah, like pissed off Hangman is such a good Hangman. Like that's when we all get to cheer for him because he's out here to do some cowboy shit. I don't think we really saw any cowboy shit.
There you go. There's a good analogy. Yeah.
So anyway, I think we've talked about that at length.
I think it's a good time to sign off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Caro, for staying in the chat. Thank you so much.
And thank you to all of our
Everybody,
YouTube watchers. And we love and appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you to everyone who popped in the chat who isn't here anymore. We still love you.
Thank you. We love you very much.
If you like it here, you know, even if you watch us on YouTube or wherever,
or the VOD, the VOD as soon as this goes off.
Yeah. There's a little follower ticker because trying to get more followers here. If you have a Twitch account, would love it if you gave us a follow. You can turn the notifications off. I don't care. Just would love following us helps the channel
Big
grow.
numbers makes us go happy mode.
Yeah.
Also, you know, because like then we can maybe do some emotes and other fun stuff.
Yeah.
You know, we're still trying to figure all of that out, but can't think of any of that without 50 followers because that's, you know, Twitch's metric.
So get on it.
Yeah, tell your friends. Yeah, we've been doing Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That seems to work pretty well for us. So that's what I put in the Twitch calendar.
We don't know what we're doing for the next couple weeks just because the holidays. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, follow us on twitter.com/comicsexfight if you want to keep tabs on all that.
Yeah.
And you can follow me at quantum.dot where I post pictures of the cats and other projects that I've been working on. Charlie and I are starting a new tabletop campaign using a really fun system that loves to make you suffer, much like I love to see Hangman suffer. This system seems maybe even more
truly the Dark Souls of tabletop RPGs.
No, for real.
For real.
Like reading through this, it's like, oh, so this is just like, it's like Dark Souls before the like, all the cataclysms happen and then someone comes to unearth what happens. Yeah. Like, it's literally just like, hey, what if you were Gwen, Lord of Cinder? You know,
fun.
Wouldn't that be messed up?
Wouldn't that be messed up? Yeah. Yeah, so we're doing that. You can follow me at Genetic Ghost on Twitter. I'm
sure we'll be talking about it once we get, because we tweet about stuff.
I have a wrestling calendar that's coming out the next couple of weeks. You can find it on the store. Once I get the first batch of pre-orders out, I will link it on my Twitter, and you can do that there because it's really nice. I would say I made it myself, but I didn't. Other people made it for me. and I put it together. That's really awesome. So if you want that for your 2022 delightful viewing, go ahead and pick that up. Other than that, I don't know what I'm talking about. My life has been bereft since Kenny Omega left my screen.
And since you've engaged in lots of software testing at work.
Yeah, also that. Also that. Yeah.
Charlie's been stuck in the UAT mines for quite some time.
Not UA.
Yeah. That's what my job is now.
Y'all can catch me at Vigola87. Give me notifications and I will smile.
Oh, we've been spending most of our free time playing Halo Infinite multiplayer together. So that's also been like, the thing. It's so
maybe
weird.
one day we'll stream Halo Infinite.
Yeah,
Or literally anything that's not just
I would like to get
us
a
talking.
capture card. Well, I guess I don't need one to stream from my PC, but
No, you don't need a capture card to stream from
Xbox
consoles.
has that has. But if you wanted to have anyway, well, we're figuring out some technical stuff.
We don't need to discuss this on stream.
Yes. But we are playing Halo together and it is fun. And we're really good at playing oddball.
Only
Orange
on the
Tunnel.
one map though, but
Yeah.
we're really
Orange
good at that
Tunnel
map.
Gang. Orange Tunnel
Orange
Gang.
Channel Gang Unite. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell us on Twitter if you also like the Orange Tunnel for oddball.
No, that's mine. I can't have it. I originated it. TM.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye everyone.
Keep using